Welcome to the BallsTalkSports NFL podcast. I am Elson Gratz, joined by my co-host Victor Ratliff, and today is a very special day. We are T-minus, 6 days till the 2025 NFL Draft?
6 days out.
What do we have planned? Tell them.
Well, today we've got the Grand Kahuna, the big one. Most important episode of the year, except for all of the other episodes, which are all equally as important. This is the BallsTalkSports final What We Would Do mock draft.
7 rounds!
7 rounds! Coming right to your eardrums. No, unfortunately, we are not that unemployed. But we will be doing 2 rounds for you today. So normally we do 1 round. No. We said y'all deserve the best. We're going to do 2 rounds today. That way we get some more in. If your team trades back out of the first round, you're not doomed. You get to hear that pick still. So it'll be really fun to talk about guys that we haven't talked about as much in the second round as we've done mostly first round mocks so far. So.
Now, this is a what we would do mock draft, so you might see some non-consensus picks, but I think that's what makes it the most fun. Obviously, we've watched more tape. Opinions have changed. We've had, I believe, the Combine, and then all the pro days since our first what we would do mock draft. We're working with a ton more information. I'm super excited.
Yeah, and you know what? We're doing a what we would do, but I feel like a lot of people don't want to know what will happen. Not saying it's going to happen, but there is a chance that you get a 2-for-1. There is a chance that sometime before the draft, we squeeze in another episode of what we think would happen, the final edition, and where we would tell you verbatim what will happen in the draft. So.
We should make an episode mocking out what we think is going to be the rest of the BallsTalkSports schedule for 2025 NFL draft coverage.
That's impossible. That's harder than getting a perfect bracket in March Madness. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It's like the 3-body problem. It's impossible for science to predict it.
And that's what makes it fun.
Yep.
Are we ready to get into it?
Yes, sir. All right. Are we flipping for evens and odds?
Let's do it. Now, normally, I have a little cup, and it has all the coinage that I found on the ground. We're up to like $17 since I started looking like a year ago, raking in that cheddar. But unfortunately, all we've got today is Google and their annoying little coin flip thing. But do you want heads or tails?
That's a good question. Well, I'm gonna go heads.
All right. Now, if it's heads, you get to pick, right?
Yeah, let's say that.
Okay. Here we go. Flipping. It is tails.
All right, your choice.
All right. Now I'm gonna flip a coin again, and if it's even, then I'll take. If it's heads, I'll take the evens.
Okay. If the coin's even.
Because I do not care. It's tails. That means I'll take the odds, which means I get the first overall pick in the draft.
Interesting. So you're gonna start out with 1. I'll go for 2, and we'll go all the way up to 64.
So I've got the Titans, and in real life, this has become like a Trevor Lawrence level set pick. They are very, very, very obviously taking Cam Ward here, not entertaining a move. However, we're both a little bit lower than the league seems to be on Cam Ward, and I would fully entertain a trade down here.
Ooh.
Do you have any teams that would move up for him? Because I have one in mind, and I hate this.
Dang. Okay. No, okay, if we're offering a trade down, if I'm the New York Giants, I'm sending everything I've got.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And then you control the Giants, though. So
I control the Giants.
For this moment, I can be the Giants GM to try to negotiate a trade if you'd like.
All right, let's do it.
I would like to not give up my first-round pick next year. Is that a possibility? If I'm New York, I don't want to give up my first-round pick.
How many day 2 picks are you willing to give up?
That's a good question. Let's see. What are the Giants work? PFF immediately says the Giants should trade for this pick. They're right. I'd give you 3, 34, 65, and a third next year.
3, 34.
You're getting a first, second, third, and a third next year.
Okay, so people who are listening to this, it's not all going to be insanity, but this is like a pretty strong entrenched take that I have.
Let's look up the trade value chart. You keep going. I want to look up the trade value chart.
Okay, because I would, you know what? I would accept that.
You would accept that?
I would.
So the trade value has Tennessee's pick at 3,000, New York's picks at 2,200, 560 for their second, 265 for their third, and then a third next year. Doesn't say, but that about comes out to, like, just the first, second, third about comes out to worth the number 1 overall pick for Tennessee this year.
Because you need 800 points of trade capital, right?
Yep. So that about makes it up. So it's technically a fair trade. If I'm the Giants, I don't want to get rid of. I don't want to. I do not want to give up my first round pick. But if it's a requirement, I think the Giants would. But in this scenario, I'm saying, will you take that trade?
I'm going to take that trade, and let me explain my thought process a little bit. If you're Tennessee, you're going to get a really outstanding football player at pick number 3, and you're going to add talent to a roster that needs it pretty badly, and you don't have to reach for Cam Ward because in a situation like the Titans are working with, where you think you've probably got more than 1 year with this current regime, that's an assumption I'm making, you don't need to be quite as aggressive for Cam Ward, who I don't think is a typical first-round pick. I think that there are red flags to his game that, in an imperfect situation, I'm not really comfortable with. Now, if you're the Giants and you're looking at starting Russell Wilson in a gotta-have-it type of season, I do think that Cam Ward, with his arm talent and his anticipation and his ability to create some outside of structure, I do think that he gives you a higher ceiling. I'm not guaranteeing he's going to be better than Russell Wilson in year 1, but I think there's a very real chance that, man, I just don't think Sanders has that upside. Certainly not out the gate. So I think that this is a strong move for the Giants. It maximizes their odds of winning enough games to keep on going with this current regime in 2025. And if you're the Titans, you're still walking away with a really good football player and a nice haul of picks as well to build into the future. So I know this is kind of an insane way to start things off, and it's super non-consensus, but I mean, do you think this is wild?
We didn't have. We had one trade in the no trades mock draft. We had a one trade, but no, this is a great start to the mock. I'm glad. If I'm the Titans, I'll say this: if I don't get an offer, I'd take Cam Ward. Just flat out, I would. I don't think that he should be the number 1 pick, but you're in a situation where Tennessee has built so much. They have a really good team, or at least a very good offense, apart from the quarterback. They just kind of need a quarterback right now, and I don't like to draft for need, but Cam Ward's good enough that you can justify taking him with the number 1 overall pick. And when you have such a big need, I say just take Ward, and it's eating your vegetables, but you don't want to do that when you're having quarterback. But Cam Ward's got a legit chance to be a top 10 quarterback for a long time. So, but if that trade is there, for me at least, I would do that deal. You gain capital because it's nowhere perfect. There's nowhere close to a perfect roster yet. Get capital, 34 and 65 and a third next year is a good haul. And then if I'm the Giants, like you said, you need to win right now this season. I don't think Russ is going to move the needle for you. So Ward seems like they love him, and I like him a lot. I like him so much more in a Daboll system than I do in a Callahan type of system. I think Daboll is going to be able to get the most out of him. Whatever's there, I think Daboll is going to find a way to get it out. So this buys time for them. If Ward works out, first year, this buys Daboll and Shane's. This keeps Daboll and Shane's job. No brainer for them. I think they'd give up a first, even if they had next year's first, if they had to do it. Because what good is next year's first if you're not going to be around to use it? You know what I mean? So I love this trade for both sides, honestly, and this is a win-win.
And by the way, if Tennessee didn't get a trade offer, like you mentioned, I do agree that you stick and pick Cam Ward. It's not super easy for me to swallow. I was close with him and Travis Hunter, but I think I'm taking the quarterback. One more thing before we move on. This feels like it's probably heresy to bring up. Is Will Levis the only quarterback on their roster right now, essentially?
Oh, let's see. I believe so. Levis, he hasn't shown you. You are absolutely okay moving on from him, and you're probably not going to get anything from him, but you might be able to. Brandon Allen, Tim Boyle.
Okay, so it would be Will Levis. And people are going to say they only have Will Levis on the roster. You can't do this. They're not going to be good next year. There's this sentiment that when a quarterback is bad for a while, you can't start them for some arbitrary reason. And look, the Titans are going to be bad. Anything you get out of Will Levis that makes you rethink next year's total house money, I don't think it's going to happen, but crazier things have. You're bad and you draft a quarterback in a deeper class next year. I mean, I know that you got to put asses in seats, but being bad for a year is a small price to pay for a high-value decision like moving down in this draft. So that's my thought process there. Hate me if you will. I understand it, but I'm happy with this move for the first overall pick.
The thing is, it's tough because I don't think they're going to be that bad this year. This is a good set of offensive linemen. This is a good set of running backs. They're going to have a good run game, and they invested in that offensive line. And, well, with what they do at 3, they'll probably have a better defense. I don't know what they're going to do with 3 because that depends on what I do with 2, but this is a solid defense. This is a solid roster overall. That's why it hurts to not pick quarterback, because with a quarterback, you could really do some damage, maybe even make the playoffs if Ward is in the upper echelon of outcomes for year 1. So It does hurt to not take a QB, but you're going to get a really good player at 3.
So it helps them tank
all
next year.
those picks are nice. I don't think you want it because if you're tanking really bad, they wouldn't have signed Moore or Zeitler. So I don't think they're going to be bad enough to get number 1 next year. But you never know. You never know.
That's a fair point.
And I think Levis will improve a little. So it's a weird situation, but I absolutely agree that they should have done that trade because that's valuable capital to get. And you know what? You could always take Jalen Milroe at 34. You can always do that. That is an option. It's probably not a great option, but it's an option. So we'll see because we're doing 2 rounds. We'll see if that happens. That'll be my pick.
I am excited to see if and where Jalen Milroe goes in this draft because I know we both kind of got takes on him.
But yeah, I love this for the Giants specifically. You don't have to give up next year's first, and you get your quarterback of the future. What you're missing on this team because this is a sneaky good roster.
They can play. They've set it up nicely.
They've got a nice team, especially with all the guys coming back from injury. This is a nice team. All right, on to me at 2.
Believe so.
Well, I think that this is pretty set in stone as well. It appears that the draft will start with it'll start with 3 because there are conflicting reports saying Schroeder might go to the Giants at 3. So Carter might fall, but it seems like 2 to the Browns is Hunter. Ward will go to number 1. Hunter will go number 2, and I think that's what I'll do here. We've talked a lot about Travis Hunter this cycle, as everyone has, because he's the best player in the class by far for me. He's my number 1 prospect. As a wide receiver alone, he's my number 1 prospect on my board. As a corner, he would probably be number 3 behind Genty and Warren. So he's just a really good football player, and the Browns are in a position where they need really good football players. And since Cam Ward's not there, I obviously am not a big Shadur Sanders guy. I wouldn't take him at 2. So let's just go out there. We're going to take Travis Hunter and get a fantastic football player to just play both sides for you. Because he says, I'm not playing it unless I'm playing both sides. And people are complaining about that. I don't know, man. If he's going to be a wide receiver, I need him to be an egotist. I need him to feel like he's the king of the world. And if he's going to be a corner, both sides, you need a little bit of a maniacal side. You're the best in the world. And generally, I don't like talking like that when you haven't backed it up. He has backed it up. Like, he's that good of a player. He's earned the right to say this kind of stuff. So everyone's saying, I don't know where the narrative came from last year that he's an average wide receiver and an average cornerback, so we should give him the Heisman because he's average at both positions. No, he was otherworldly at both positions. That's why he won the Heisman. He's a great player. In this receiving core, it's not great. Cedric Tillman showed some flashes. He could be a solid wide receiver 3 for you. I liked him coming out of Tennessee. Judy showed some nice stuff last year. Got an extension. Still, you're missing a piece, and Hunter can slide right in there. And then at corner, I feel like you're set at corner. So you can actually throw Hunter in as receiver year 1, right? That is his main position. But as you kind of go forward with him, maybe an injury happens or something like that. We have him learning the defense, sitting in the corner rooms. He's playing receiver immediately, but you kind of bring him up to speed because I think there's more work to be done as a corner than there is as a wide receiver in his evaluation. Bring him up to speed as a corner while he's playing receiver year 1, then year 2 or year 3, somebody leaves, you slot him as a starting corner, you lessen the receiver snaps, then you get a really quality receiver who can play 15, 20 snaps a game, play every snap at cornerback with his superhuman stamina, and be one of the biggest difference makers of any player in the entire league, of maybe the biggest difference maker of any non-QB in the league. That is his legitimate ceiling. So I'm really high on Hunter, and if he's there, he should go to the Browns at number 2.
I have 2 comments to make on that before we move on. The first one is I'm skeptical that he can play both sides of the ball.
I don't think he can do it every snap.
A little bit because he has room to refine himself at both positions, and people bring up it's tough to be in 2 meeting rooms at once. I mean, it's just not viable, and it's tough to win on athleticism alone at the next level. I think that narrative is overplayed because the fact is he is like a generational all-around athlete. So if anybody can win 60% with athleticism and 40% with technique, it's Travis Hunter. He's obviously just a specimen of a football learner and his football instincts. If anybody can keep progressing at both positions at once, that would be Travis Hunter. My deeper concern is just he's been banged up for multiple college seasons. He is a smaller guy. I don't know if I want that wear and tear on him. However, it feels like 60, 70, maybe even 80% of analysts are saying he doesn't have a chance because it hasn't been done before in like 20 years. And I just don't think it's smart to draw those lines. Just because something hasn't happened since Deion Sanders. Did Deion Sanders, how many snaps did he play on both sides of the
Many.
ball? I didn't think so. Just because Travis Hunter would be a novel phenomenon doesn't mean that it can't happen. And I think it's dangerous to rule that out. So there's potential there. And then you like him more as a wide receiver than a cornerback. I'm there with you at this point, and I especially like how he slots into this receiver room where Cedric Tillman, who showed some flashes last year before he went down with a concussion that affected him for multiple weeks, he can be your X. Jerry Jeudy had a lot of great reps from the slot, and then you move Travis Hunter off the line as your Z where he doesn't have to run into quite as many physical cornerbacks. You can put him in motion so it's easy to get the ball in his hands because if he sees a crease, he can slam on the afterburners and take it to the house. Going to be a really, really effective player who's just going to help the offense gel in year one.
Yeah, I think you kind of immediately slot him into that Justin Jefferson-esque role that he had in year one, right? Remember when they had Thielen as the X and they were letting Jefferson do all the fun, creative stuff and winning on one-on-ones because people didn't know he was Justin Jefferson yet. People know he's Travis Hunter, but still, you put him there as a Z, he's going to be a really good player. And it's also like, why not try it? I get it. It might not work. Honestly, the odds are against it. But if he says he can do it, and he's so confident about that, which I love, I feel like you got to try it. If you're taking him this high, you are admitting that, yeah, you're a good football player. Let's give it a shot. And it's like 32-inch arm, 33-inch arm tackles. We'll try him at tackle. If it fails, we can always move him to guard. Hunter, this is a guy that you're not really worried about him losing his confidence. He's not going to lose his confidence, man. He's Travis Hunter. So you try him at both positions. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You can tell him, listen, man, this didn't work, but you're still a great player. You're still a great receiver. So we want you to play receiver for us and make $40 million a year. That's a pretty good consolation prize. So I feel like his floor as both a receiver and corner is really nice just due to superhuman athleticism, his tireless work ethic and stamina, and just that mentality of I'm going to win, that Mamba mentality, plus also really good underrated technician. We talk about the athleticism, the two-way player. This is a good football player in both physically and mentally. He's put in a lot of work in the tape, watching the tape in the film room. He's been coached by one of the best DBs and receivers, kind of one of the best DBs of all time. Checks have pretty much every box, so there's no reason he shouldn't go here, and there's no reason you shouldn't give him a chance at both before you probably call it and say, yeah, this isn't working. Just play one position.
People don't contextualize just how high the upside of having a stud at both wide receiver and cornerback full-time is. Yeah. All right, Titans at 3, something that a lot of people probably didn't expect that we'd be saying in this episode. Abdul Carter.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not going to overcomplicate this. It feels like we give Abdul Carter a lot of bad press on this show. But the fact is, if he was perceived as like a top 10 caliber prospect and not like a top 3 caliber prospect, I would be pounding the table for Abdul Carter. He is my edge 1 by a fairly decent margin, actually. I'm not concerned about the injury stuff that people have brought up, which is basically he got banged up a little bit during the draft cycle. That doesn't matter to me. This is a high confidence pick, and I think this is good value for the Titans. Arden Key is not stopping you from drafting Abdul Carter here. No. Adds a lot of juice to the defense.
Their edge room is just abysmal. And when they made this trade down, I was like, yeah, Hunter's going to go at 2. Abdul Carter falls right into their lap. They need edge. He is there, and he's he is my number 1 edge. I think he'll be a great player in the league. The only reason that he's my number 4 prospect overall, and the only reason is that I'm not really confident he's going to be a great player in the league. I think he will be, but his range of outcomes is a lot more variable, and you can absolutely see him not working out as well as you want in the league. So that's why I'm not there as like a blue chip talent like people have him in a tier with Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty. I don't see it with that. I still think he's a great player, absolutely worthy of the number 3 overall pick.
All right, now the Patriots at 4, and it feels like this is where the draft really starts heating up.
Ward, Hunter, Carter, you get that out of the way. What do the Patriots do? This is a tough spot because what's their biggest need? It's offensive line. Well, there's nobody really here. I don't know. I've soured on Campbell overall as a tackle because I've looked into just like I don't know if he can do it. It's a tough thing to do, and even if he could, I don't know how good he'd be. So I don't know if I'm going to take him here. Absolutely possible. It's a tough pick. But I had an idea the other day with this pick when I was thinking about what do I want to do with this. And I think I came to a decision. And that is Tyrone McMillan. And it's early for him.
I don't mind that.
But the problem is, at this pick, it's early for everybody. So I didn't love it because I was like, I feel like he should be going. He's my number 8 overall player. But the guys that I have higher, you either don't need or are a running back. So it's a tough situation here to be in. And I really considered 3 guys, Campbell, Graham, and Tet. And Graham's a great player. But I feel like you're in a position now where I say best player available most of the time. This is a position now where you have to draft for need. And right now the absolute need of this team is making sure Drake May has the easiest time possible. Help your franchise quarterback. Getting him a big-bodied guy who does not drop anything, who catches pretty much everything that comes close to his frame, is fantastic after the catch, and is pretty frequently open. That's always going to help your rookie That's always going to help your second-year quarterback that still wants to come into his own. So you can't get the offensive line, but this is arguably as big a help, especially when you consider he's working with absolute useless pieces of shit in the wide receiver room. I'm just kidding. We were talking about how somebody called Jeffrey Bassett useless piece of shit on the show beforehand.
We're going to use that term at least 5 times an episode from here on out.
Yeah, so when we say useless piece of shit, we're not,
We're talking about a substandard football player at the starting level.
So, yeah, when you've got useless pieces of shit at receiver, bringing in a guy like Ted is really going to move the needle. And overall, he's just a great football player. This is a guy who absolutely could be an all-pro, and he will be a good receiver for you. I don't think he will be an all-pro. I think he could be a multiple-time Pro Bowler. I don't think he's ever going to be the best separator. But when you can do everything else well, that's enough for me to take you with the number 4 overall pick. I think the Patriots are happy about this. I think Drake May is happy, and I think that's the most important thing.
So here's the conversation about Tyrone McMillan. How do I want to frame into that? Did we talk about the Tet McMillan video on this show before?
The one where he says, I don't watch tape, or I don't like football?
As a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, who cares?
Exactly. And I still hear about people bringing this up, and I find it really annoying. It's like, T-Mac's skill set is going to play at the next level. That's not the question. He's not a N'Keal Harry. The question is whether or not it will play at a wide receiver 1 level. This is a guy who has a floor. This is a guy who is almost set in stone as the Patriots' wide receiver 1. Yeah, I do think he has a wide receiver 2 floor. I don't have any issues with this pick whatsoever. It's not ideal value, but like you said, literally nobody is here.
At worst, he's kind of like, I don't love it, but he's kind of like a Mike Williams-esque player. You know what I mean?
It's a good way to put it, yeah.
Sacrificial X, who's not the juiciest athlete of all time, can't really separate that well, but he can go up and get it. He's not going to drop the football. So kind of a number 2 sacrificial X to your, and then you got to find your Keenan Allen to pair him with. But that's a really good player to get. The problem is I don't think he probably ends up being somewhere around Drake London. I don't know if he ever gets to that as good as it gets, kind of ceiling. But overall, a great player and one you're happy with it for.
If you walk away with Drake London with a top 5 pick, I think you go back and say that was a hit.
In this class especially, normally I probably wouldn't take him at 4, but this is a class not very stacked at the top in meaningful positions to the quarterback. This is the best player at a meaningful position to Drake May. It just seems easy even though you don't get a great feeling about it.
All right, now the Jaguars at 5.
I know what I would do.
There's a strong consensus that this pick is Mason Graham, and obviously nobody knows for sure what the Patriots are going to do, and it feels like people take some security in, we're going to run up our mock draft score because obviously they're going to take Mason Graham here. And I think that they definitely might. I could certainly see that, but this is another sneaky, we really don't know what they're going to do spot, because I think I'm going to take Tyler Warren.
Yeah, baby.
I love me some Mason Graham. But when I look at the kind of asset that I want with the top 5 pick, Tyler Warren can be that guy. You don't want to give Trevor Lawrence any more excuses, and adding him into this room, he adds a skill set that they don't really have. I mean, they went out and signed De'Ami Brown, who is your vertical threat who can flash some stuff downfield. And then they've got, who's their wide receiver? Oh, yeah, obviously Brian Thomas Jr., who showed a lot of excellent things last year, but he's not going to play that big-bodied Tyler Warren role where you can also get the ball in his hands, drop some interesting plays for him, and let him wreak havoc after the catch. This adds a whole nother layer of juice to the offense. It's going to make the run game, which was wildly inconsistent last year, that much better as well because, I mean, who's the next best blocking tight end after him? You got to go all the way down to Jackson Hawes, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I don't have any issue with this pick at all. Is it ideal? Maybe not. I liked Bowers more, and I was still pretty fringy on Bowers as a top 5 grade, even though ultimately that is where I came away. I feel like you're sleeping pretty good drafting Tyler Warren at pick 5 if you're Jacksonville.
Yeah, this is a fine pick for me. He's my number 3 overall player in the class in a top 5 grade. So I'm happy to make this pick. I know it's technically not like a super valuable position, but Tyler Warren can play like 3 positions. Play him wherever you think is a valuable position.
The player makes the position valuable. The position doesn't make the position valuable. And Tyler Warren can be that kind of player.
And they need a tight end too, so it works.
Like badly. They're starting Brenton Strange right now.
I mean, he's just the perfect complement to Brian Thomas, and he gives Trevor Lawrence somebody to throw to underneath, which he just needs. He hasn't had that for 2 years. So this is a great pick.
All right.
All right, I'm picking for the Raiders here. There is, just like number 5, there seems to be a very, very, very clear consensus on where the Raiders will go at 6. And that seems to be Ashton Genty. And I don't know if I'm going to do it. I am a big fan of drafting running back. Well, not a fan. I'm okay with drafting running back here. At 6. It's just, you kind of, if you're going to draft a running back high, I think you have to be a team that profiles as one that you're planning to win a Super Bowl on his rookie contract. And ideally, everyone would win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years, right? But realistically, I don't think the Raiders are really planning on winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. It's not in the cards for the next 2 to 3 years. Geno will be the starter for the next 2 years at the very least. And with the roster they have and with Geno Smith, they're not winning a Super Bowl. They're probably not making the playoffs this year. How much does Ashton Genty really move the needle for you? For the future of the team. I get it, you want to put asses in seats at Allegiant, but I love Genty. He's my number 2 overall player. I just don't think that this does much for you, whereas you take a guy that will play for longer in the league, though I think Genty will be around for a while. It's just he will be at a peak for longer. Running backs just deteriorate quicker. It's a fact. That is more of a need, and you can kind of he'll hit his peak sooner. Well, he'll hit his peak around 2 to 3 years in because that's where cornerbacks usually go. I think I'm going to go Will Johnson here. I'm a big Will Johnson guy. Seems like everybody's soured on him, and I think it's because, the injury is concerning, but when he wasn't injured, I think he's top 5 tape in the class. So, I'll take him at 6 in a class full of not many guys with top 5 tape. So, Will Johnson, I mean, you need corner desperately. Who's playing corner for you? Who's playing corner? If it's not Will Johnson, right? He is. If the medicals clear out, he's a guy that you can just rely on to be a great player in the league. So, any objections? Would you take Genty here?
So it's kind of funny that we've come full circle on this because in my first what I would do mock draft, I had pretty much that exact same thought process. I would love to see Genty in a Raiders uniform, but the thing is, this era of the Raiders probably isn't going to compete, and so it's hard to justify a luxury pick where you're going to get your best ball out of Genty when you can't really maximize the ceiling that Genty gives you. And so I did decide with the eating your vegetables pick, which was Will Johnson, so there are going to be no objections from me. I don't hate Genty. I think it could happen, but I think Will Johnson could happen as well. And again, this is what we would do mock. No, I'm totally fine with that.
All right, I'm going to go Will Johnson. Then you get just a guy who can cover a receiver. Desperately need it. All right, on to the Jets at 7.
Oh my gosh, that defense was unwatchable last year.
It's brutal.
Especially with Max Crosby off the field, where their edge room was bad as well, and these cornerbacks were just left out on islands. Things got ugly.
Max Crosby, Eastern Michigan assistant general manager, Max Crosby?
I did hear about that. It's freaking wild. All right, now it's the Jets at 7. And if we were going consensus-y here, this would be Armand Membu. And I'm not there with Armand Membu. I like him. I have a 1 to a 2 on him. the 1 in that grade is hanging on by a frickin' thread because I could see a scenario where I'm comfortable with the team picking him in the first round, but I do think Membu has a lot of work to do. You're not too dissimilar on that, are you?
No, he has plenty. I think I see him a little bit more further along than you because he's firmly in the 1 through 2. About the 1 and the 2 are kind of equally
Okay.
winning the tug of war, right? He's firmly there.
I'm going to take Mason Graham here.
I love it.
I mean, this is a new Aaron Glenn-led Jets team. The offense probably isn't going to be great with Justin Fields and iffy offensive line play, especially. I mean, who are their offensive tackles right now? Maybe I'm going to talk myself out of this in real time. Olu Fashanu, and you would like to bookend him with a potential franchise right tackle.
But
Again, I'm not there with Membu.
We got to remember, there are 7 rounds in the draft. Just because you're not taking a guy in the first round doesn't mean you can't take him in the second round. We're going to be doing 2 rounds.
That's true.
So we think more about the pairings of like, I take Graham here, and then I guess what? I go out there in the third round, maybe Josh Simmons is still there. He falls because of injuries. Or I take a tackle that I really like. I go for it's not many great tackles. Take Connerly, throw him at right tackle.
There's a chance that there is a tackle you are comfortable starting, especially, again, when you're starting Carter Warren, who's a player I've definitely heard of before because we are ball knowers. So I'm definitely familiar with Carter Warren's game at right tackle. There's a real chance that you can get a guy in the second round that you're more comfortable with at that right tackle spot. And you go ahead and get Mason Graham, put him beside Quinnen Williams. Fairly different skill sets there as well. And this Aaron Glenn-led defense is going to become an identity in year 1. Quinnen Williams also had something of a down season last year, and
I mean,
it was down by Quinnen Williams standards.
Yeah, but that's really high standards. So that's like saying Patrick Surtain had a down year the year before last year. Yeah, technically it was worse than his defensive player of the year, but it was still like top 10 corner in football, just not top 3.
Well, what I'm getting at is you bring in Mason Graham,
You're not stopping him.
I think Quinnen Williams goes right back to what we've come to expect from Quinnen Williams, which is an upper-level Pro Bowl, borderline all-pro level defensive tackle. I think I like this a lot. I think this is right around where Mason Graham should go in an ideal world.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a defense getting better in the trenches, and we know Aaron Glenn loves to run his defense through the trenches with great football players, and Mason Graham's a great football player. This makes a whole lot of sense, and yeah, maybe he needs other things more, but it's not like those things are in great supply here. So best player available makes a lot of sense, and there's always the second or the third round. There's plenty of guys in the third round that I like too. Anthony Belton, Ariante Ursary, Cam Williams even. You could just take in the third round and see what happens. Developmental guys that maybe in a year or two they could work out. So you got to think about the draft as more than just... Also, if Connerly makes it to the second round, which I feel like that's an easy pick. He's a really great zone blocker. They run a lot of zone there. He played left tackle at Oregon. You can move him to right.
Although, you remember that Mike Greenrap at the Senior Bowl. Important to note that was with the right tackle footwork, but you have faith in a camp. You can coach that up.
Yeah.
Bar.
Let's just say that it's the Jets, though.
Oh, that's true. They should just never draft anyone ever.
No, we should.
You got to assume the player you're watching in college is the pro you're getting.
We should relegate them.
We only need 30 teams in the NFL.
Exactly.
The Raiders are the other ones who are going to go because fuck the Raiders.
Exactly. There we go.
That's why we didn't pick Genty.
Bam. Yeah, we hate you. I don't want to see Genty in a Raiders uniform. That would be so sad. Josh Jacobs obliterated us for 4 years. I don't think I need to see Genty do it for another 4.
It's so nice to watch Josh Jacobs in the green and gold.
He's
just
such
looks
a good player, man. We'll get to giving Josh Jacobs some more help at the Packers at 23. Panthers at 8, though, seems to be consensus. Just take a defensive player because there's not many great defensive players on that roster. This is a sneaky good offense. There's not really many needs on the offense. Like, you probably like another receiver at some point, maybe. That's about the offensive line is overall really solid. You got a good pair of running backs. Bryce Young's your quarterback, and you're riding with that. But then you need everything on the defense. So it's a pretty obvious defensive pick. But it's kind of tough to tell where to go because a lot of the top defensive players are off the board now. So now you're thinking, well, you're looking more towards a Shamar Stewart or a Mikael Williams. And that makes a lot of sense. Even in a 3-4 like they run, I think they can survive.
I agree. I think they're scheme versatile.
Yeah. Honestly, hmm. I'm gonna I'm gonna call the Cowboys at 12.
Who you pick for? All right.
But you're gonna act as Jerry here.
All right.
I'm gonna call the Cowboys at 12 and say, listen, Raiders didn't pick Genty. Bears are gonna pick him at 10. You're at 12. You want him? Trade up with me. What are you gonna give me for 8?
Let me check out the Cowboys picks.
I really
would
don't want to make this pick.
I would strongly entertain this trade up. And I feel like this is fairly on brand for the Cowboys as
Jerry
well.
said that they are not trading up, which is what everyone says when they're definitely trading up.
Good point.
So I think this is realistic, but it's for the Panthers here. I love Stewart and Williams, but they're not necessarily fantastic scheme fits. So I don't know if I want to take him at 8. I'd be happy to take him at 12. I don't know if they'll be there, but there's just so many guys that I'm not feeling great about taking at 8, but I would love to take at 12. So I think making this trade makes a lot of sense for the Panthers.
All right, so they got their 2 and 3 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have an abundance of picks this year. And then they have
So the Cowboys
most
need
of
to
their day 3 picks.
they need to make
in
up 200
26
points
as
of
well.
material. That's about a third.
Would
That
a
is their third.
would a 2026 third and we'll say like a 2025 sixth do the job?
That's tough. Let's say we'll make it a fifth. 2025 fifth and a 2026 third. I think we got a deal.
All right, you can have the round 5 comp pick.
Sweet. Well, I want the highest of the picks.
Oh, God damn it. No!
Trade
No
denied.
deal!
Trade denied. I want
We'll do it.
174. All right. So that is 12, a third rounder next year, and 174 to the Panthers for 8. So now the Cowboys are picking at 8, and they're moving up for Ashton Genty. Because we talked about the Raiders, this isn't a team that plans to win the Super Bowl. Well, the Cowboys plan to win a Super Bowl every year. This is our year. Well, with Ashton Genty on the team now, Dak Prescott's coming back. Offensive line looking pretty nice. Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, and Tyler Guyton, you hope make some strides. Terrence Steele is fine. This is a solid offensive line. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got great players on the defense. Micah Parsons, full year of health for him, hopefully. Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland, you're hoping you get a full year of health from them. This is a good Dallas team, and Ashton Genty is the kind of piece that can elevate it from good to great. And only having to give up a third rounder next year and a comped fifth and a fifth year this year is absolutely enough for me to move up to 8 if I'm the Cowboys here. So this makes a lot of sense for the Cowboys. You get your guy. As for the Panthers, again, nobody here that you feel like is a great fit for the defense. But there's plenty of guys at 12 that you think are a great fit that I think will make it there because there's just only so many players can go in 4 picks. There are bound to be a guy that you're really happy to take at 12, but not at 8. And you snag yourself an extra third next year as you continue to build for the future and a fifth. And I'd prefer a third next year, maybe to a third this year, honestly. Probably wouldn't prefer it because you want it this year, but they're closer than previous years. This is not the best class down the board. So it's like in 2022 when people were talking about, man, they are looking to sell their first-round pick for a first-round pick next year. They're looking to get out of this draft. I feel like we'll see some of that, similar things, some of those down the board. So Panthers have to trade out here, and Dallas is the natural team to trade up, jump in the Bears for Genty.
First of all, I happened to turn my head and look at the waveform. That scream is going to be clipping so hard. So I apologize for that. It was just like a block with a sawed-off top and bottom. So,
oh, no.
Victor, have a fun time in post-production. And then also, if Will Johnson was here, would you just pull the trigger on that?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, Will Johnson, he's the kind of guy that I don't care about getting a third. Like, you're just getting him and J.C. Horn next to each other would be so fun. You're just not throwing against those guys for the
Agreed.
next 5-6 years. Your number 1, number 2 corner are just set. I'd take that. I'd pull the trigger there. And I love Stewart and Williams. They're my 9 and 10 player on my board. It's just when they can play in the 3-4. It's just if you were forcing them to play outside linebacker, I think you're losing some value, and that knocks them down a little bit. So I value that a little bit more. But at 12, if they make it, I'd probably take them.
Next up, we have the Saints, another team with a lot of needs. And for me,
Jackson Dart.
making this pick, my process is pretty simple. I'm not paying this premium for Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart. They need offensive line. I don't want to see Trevor Penning on the football field anymore. I'm going to take Will Campbell.
There you go.
I think he can stick at right guard because this is another example where you've got to let the tape do the talking. Just because something hasn't happened often, and I'm, of course, referring to his arm length, which was 33 inches at his pro day, was it?
Yeah, something like that. 33. That's fine. Membooz is 33 and a fourth.
That is a great thing to point out. I think it's possible that he winds up being a quality starting tackle. This team could really use interior line as well.
That's like one of their biggest needs. It's just a bunch of useless pieces of shit.
We're sorry, Cesar Ruiz and Nick Saldiveri.
Oh, wait, no, never mind. Sorry. Now, Eric McCoy is a fantastic player. It's just Cesaro. I was thinking of a different team. I was looking at the team below them. No,
I'm eyeing moving on from Saldiveri at some point in the future.
Well, they brought in Radons from Tennessee, but considering they probably threw a party in Tennessee whenever Radons got out of the building, I don't know if he's moving the needle too much. They got the legend Will Clapp as a backup center, though.
That is a fantastic name for a player who does not quite match it on tape.
No. But McCoy, I want to give McCoy his flowers. Has fought through some injuries. When he's on the field, he's one of the best centers in football.
It's a good call. He doesn't get that kind of praise.
Campbell's not playing center, though. He's playing guard. Makes a lot of sense. And you can try him at right tackle, worth a shot. Like,
at least you're not getting 25 holding penalties a year.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? That does not make much sense. Sorry.
So Will Campbell's arms measure an even shorter?
Yes, 30-inch arms.
Oh,
he's a dinosaur out there.
28 and a half.
No, I'm sorry. I'm looking for something. Yeah, New Orleans measured in about. Yeah, I was curious on what teams run the most zone. And New Orleans is about middle of the road, about where I thought they would be, number 17. So
that's
Campbell,
a fine fit.
Yeah, about 45% of the time. So Campbell can do it. If you're a heavy gap team, you're probably not interested in Campbell, just because he's just not gonna move guys because his arms are a little bit shorter. But he's a great player overall, and that gap team can absolutely use him. It's just if you're like Cincinnati, he might be a little lower on your board.
That's a good thing to point out. Although he should go well before Cincinnati.
So here we are. You took
Campbell, so now we got the Bears at 10.
Yeah. So we got Will Campbell, the Saints at 9. Now we got the Bears at 10. Poles is pissed. Genty didn't make it. Now what do we do? Well, it's a pretty easy pick. Shamar Stewart or Mikael Williams. I think you pick your poison here. Who's your favorite? They need edge. They run they're pretty much perfect for what they want. Both of those guys, they're very similar evals. I would say you absolutely need edge because you have capable players there, but I feel like you don't have a difference maker in that room that fits their mold, right? The David Ingbo is supposed to be the bigger guy that can move guys. He's not really. I think he's better as a 3. So Montez Sweat is the lightning to the thumping Shamar Stewart or Mikael Williams. Let's go Mikael Williams.
I like that a lot. I mean, it feels like Bears fans don't love picking one of these sort of project edge rushers. I think what people don't realize is they both very much have a floor in run defense and working on stunts. They're both very much Ryan Poles guys. Good scheme fits. Just makes a ton of sense, all things considered.
Yeah, Mikael Williams is a great football player, great athlete. He's going to do a lot of good things. He's just going to fit right into that Cameron Jordan role that Dennis Allen, obviously the Saints DC and head coach for a very long time, fired, comes in. He's a great defensive mind, even if he's not a great head coach. He's like a Vance Joseph, Brian Flores kind of discount. You're going to get a DC who's really good, but because he was a head coach and got fired, he's on the market, so we get to scoop him up. So I think Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen are really going to like using him. They're going to have fun with him. And he's just a great football player. I feel like his floor is a little higher than Shamar Stewart's, and that's why I went with him. But I think Shamar's ceiling is probably a little bit higher, and the likelihood he hits the ceiling is maybe a little bit higher. They're basically identical grades on my board. The production thing with Shamar Stewart, we'll get to it obviously. It doesn't move the needle too much, but it's enough for me that I'm like, there is some merit to the argument. If he's a good pass rusher, why doesn't he pass rush good? But we'll get to that when we talk about Shamar Stewart, which I'm sure will be soon because he is a fantastic player. But Mikael Williams to the Bears at 10.
Speaking of Shamar Stewart, do I pick him to the Niners at 11,
Oof.
or do I go Calvin Banks Jr.?
Interesting. I like both of those picks. You need tackle or guard. He can play both. You
Exactly.
need both, though. And he can do that, be the heir apparent to Trent Williams on the left tackle, or you slide him into left guard immediately, try him at left tackle when Williams retires or gets injured again, see if it works. I like that pick, but man, defensive line unit is bad. It is bad.
Nick Bosa's not always on the field anymore. He
No.
missed some time last year.
And yeah, then you've got the ever reliable and never injured. Leonard Floyd's gone, so you got Yetur Gross-Matos. So the not ever reliable and just overall not a fantastic football player, Yetur Gross-Matos. And then you've got useless pieces of shit on the exterior defensive line. You could throw Shamar Stewart in here as like a 3-tech and see what happens.
That's it. Yeah, he had some really nice tape of him doing that at Texas
Give it a
A&M.
shot, but I think Banks is a fantastic pick. I think Shamar Stewart's a fantastic pick.
You know what? I feel like it's better for sort of the continuity of the mock draft because there are going to be some pretty tasty Calvin Banks Jr. spots down the board.
Oh yeah.
I want to make a point that I like Shamar Stewart quite a bit, even if I think you like him maybe just a tad more than I do. Yeah, let's go with Shamar.
All right. I think that's a great pick. I think the Niners are happy about it. He gives a little bit more of that vibes of San Francisco. Like he gives more San Francisco vibes of when they were winning Super Bowls. The thumping, nasty 49ers, the team that wants to win in a physical way. And I think that brings a little bit of that back versus drafting for finesse with a very commonly mocked pick of Walter Nolan here. So
Yetur Gross-Matos, 21 pressures last year.
bam,
Just saying.
bam. 21 pressures on 21
Quality 3.
on 21 snaps.
Batting 1,000.
You give him a shot. I think Stewart's going to be a great fit. Panthers at 12. So now we're in a position where I can make the pick that I wanted to make at 8, but I just could not justify pulling the trigger that early, and that's Jalen Walker. He's just a fantastic, they need edge and linebacker, and he can play both for you. Year one, linebacker, he's not a great linebacker, but he can do enough in spot situations. You can play 67% edge, 33% linebacker. I'd probably more put him in 80-20 or 70-30, right? That's a nice split. He's just a dynamic rusher who can make things happen on the defensive line, and that is what you're looking for on this defense to really make this team better. So he's that kind of guy that absolutely moves the needle. Year one, he's a smart player. He's a great leader to bring this locker room together, bring him some semblance of unity and pride in that unit that was so bad last year. So this is a great fit all around. I just don't love it at 8, but at 12, I'm all in.
I think that Jalen Walker is maybe not the number one player that they would take at 8, although Jalen Walker's getting a lot of really early first-round buzz.
Seems like this is the consensus at 8.
That I don't entirely understand. I would rather have a Michael Williams. He's small. And people give him less credit as an edge rusher than he deserves. It's like his tape isn't bad, but the run defense, it could use some work. He's a really, really good football player. I think I like Jalen Walker at 12 more than I like a Michael Williams at 8. And I like Michael Williams at 8, so the Panthers played the board really nicely in this situation.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, it's the Miami Dolphins. And I like Kelvin Banks a lot, Victor.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we've gotten too low on him. The fact is, he's a very versatile tackle who is just an extremely steady pass protector at Texas. This isn't like my go-to for how I evaluate prospects, but he has played 7 elite seasons of football that we know of in a row at both a high level of high school competition and then at Texas for the Longhorns in the SEC. I feel like that kind of can't be overstated. He just knows how to play offensive tackle. He's a good enough move blocker with good enough athleticism. He's not like the Dolphins' prototype, but I would much rather have Kelvin Banks out there protecting Tua than, say, a Patrick Paul. So for me, this has an opportunity to be a more interesting pick if he was gone, but you gotta eat your vegetables. They need offensive line badly. I think this is pretty solid value for him as well.
I think Banks probably plays right tackle, and they're going to try Paul at left tackle.
Unfortunately.
I mean, he hasn't tried much. He hasn't played much in the league. He wasn't great at Houston, but the traits got him drafted in the second round. You got to play him. So give him a shot at left tackle. Banks is going to be really great at right tackle. If Paul doesn't work out, You can throw him on the inside, or you can bench him and put Banks back at left tackle. Banks is a really high floor kind of guy, and even if I have some worries about, well, he's a good mover, but in the matter he lets guys around the edge a little bit too frequently, and I don't feel like he can track with the best athletes sometimes.
I agree.
Like, I just think that overall he is a good football player. I don't think he'll be a great football player at the next level. But getting a good starter on the offensive line especially is a fantastic thing to get at 13 and something you'll be really happy about. Good floor. As you said, a guy who's seasoned. He's gonna stand up to the big moments, right? So when you're making that playoff push, this is not a guy that's going to crumble like seemingly everyone in Miami does every year after week 13. So I like this pick a lot.
Were there any other players that really stuck out to you there?
Oh, yeah. I circled interior defensive line as a big need for them. And I thought about Kenneth Grant kind of filling in as that Christian Wilkins type of role that they missed last year, especially now that Calais Campbell went to Arizona. I thought about that could be interesting. And obviously they need DB, but there's no one here that I really love, especially because it looks like Ramsey is going to go. So I'm not the biggest Jade Barron guy. You know what I mean? I don't think I'd really love him here, though he does fit the system. He does, I love him as a corner safety hybrid who can come downfield in a match quarter system, and that's what Miami would absolutely deploy him as. Be great. It's just a little early. I wouldn't be mad if you took him here, though. I would arrive at the same conclusion, I think. All right. Banks to the Dolphins at 13. Now we got the Colts up at 14, making their pick. So Colson Loveland is here. It seems like every time Colson Loveland is here, he's mocked to the Colts. Is that what I do here is the question. I'm going to put some serious consideration into taking Shedeur Sanders here. I will arrive at the conclusion that I will not take him. I'm just letting you know now. But I would like to talk through it. Do you think that if the Colts would do that if they're here. If he's here, I think you don't. Anthony Richardson has not given you enough to believe that he's your franchise guy. I think it's okay to move on, especially because Shane Steichen is a guy who excels at raising the floor of quarterbacks, like he did with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. He brought him from a relatively raw prospect out of Oklahoma and brought him to the Super Bowl MVP that he is now. Anthony Richardson would have been a lot worse if it hadn't been for Shane Steichen. So, and his job is not super hot, but it's slightly warm. And a quarterback that is a good player would certainly help that, like Shedeur Sanders is. So I would consider. I think I'd consider it here. What's your take on Sanders to the Colts at 14?
I don't despise it. And there's no player that's sticking out like a sore thumb, as in you need to pick them here. They're an exceptional scheme fit. They're exceptional value. I don't see that. But in a what I would do mock, it's just not easy for me to take Shedeur this early. Don't get me wrong. We might get to a point in this draft where I would voluntarily take Shedeur Sanders, but not yet.
I think I'll probably be the guy to do it. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, weird pick. I think I go consensus, and I just go Jihad Campbell.
There we go.
It's either Campbell or Loveland for most people, and I think for me, this is Campbell. The Colts pride themselves on having a good linebacker room, whether it be Shaq Leonard a few years ago or Bobby Okereke a couple of years ago or E.J. Speed and Zaire Franklin last year. Guys who this team always seems to have good linebackers, and they elevate the floor of them. And Campbell's a guy who absolutely you want to see brought along, and I believe in the staff to do that. So an athletic genius as far as he's an awesome athlete and he knows how to use his athleticism. He's really good at that. You could bring the processing along a little bit, but he's a 21-year-old junior who just needs more reps to do it, in my opinion. A guy who I believe in. And I'd be happy to take, especially a team that needs linebackers, fill out that front seven. This is a good pick.
You're never going to draft an off-ball linebacker who's anything close to a finished product coming out of college, at least not a third-year junior one. And when you take his instincts and his athleticism and what he can do as a pass rusher, I mean, hell, his tackling, I think, is already pretty excellent. Easy selection.
Yeah, I mean, he just the tackling and the athleticism gives him a nice floor. Even if he never brings the processing up to full speed, you're still okay with a guy who's a good leader in the locker room, who is really athletic, can rush off the edge and tackle. That is absolutely like a linebacker too, even. could be a reasonable thing for him in the lower end of his turnouts. So I like this pick a lot for Campbell and for the Colts. Seems like what they do. I wanted to talk through the Sanders thing though because I think I did consider it briefly.
And I think that's fair process. I like that a hell of a lot more than I like taking Shooter Sanders in the top 10. I think it's a good situation for him.
Yeah, outside of the top 10, you can talk me into it.
Next up, we have the Falcons at 15. And I feel like we have to stick with defense here.
Yeah.
The question is, who is it going to be? I'm also not a big-time Jahdae Barron guy. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Jahdae Barron, but 15's a little rich for him, and what I think that his ceiling probably is.
Guy probably not ever going to be making All-Pro team. I don't even know if he'll ever make a Pro Bowl team.
That's just it.
You know, well, like you don't know if he'll ever make a BallsTalkSports Pro Bowl team because real Pro Bowl doesn't matter, but BallsTalkSports Pro Bowl does.
It's the only thing that matters.
Exactly. Other than the BallsTalkSports All-Pro and award show.
Correct. Yes, the Balls Talk Sports accolades are the sports accolades that tell you who the good players are.
Yep.
Like, if we said that Zach Wilson was all of a sudden a Balls Talk Sports Pro Bowler or All-Pro or award nominee, he becomes a good player. The on-field product does not matter. We decide.
Exactly. It's like quantum entanglement. Whatever happens on one side happens to both sides. So if Zach Wilson becomes a great player, well, we predicted that, and he is a great player in the Balls Talk Sports eyes. If we say he's a great player, he is a great player.
What player should we put on the Atlanta Falcons? Because I'm essentially between Walter Nolan and Mike Green.
Well, you know how I feel about Mike Green's tape. I mean, yeah, that's a great fit.
It is. It's a really nice fit.
And it seems like he's going to go high, so I won't fault you. If teams aren't going to really ding him too much for it, I won't fault you for taking him here because they know more about the situation than we do. But we also know that teams are not really the most a team still employs Deshaun Watson, so
Not the most ethical.
no. But I'd absolutely be okay with Green here. I'd probably prefer it to Nolan just because I'm not a big Nolan guy. I don't think that he is. I would take him at 15.
Is there anyone I'm missing that's sticking out to you?
For the Falcons, at least on the defensive side of the ball, I think you could talk me into Malachi Starks here. Put him alongside Bates and just have an elite safety room. Kind of a luxury pick, though. Nobody corner. If Johnson was here, I'd bang the table for him. But I think Green's the pick, and if it's not him, as your assistant GM here, if it's not Green, I would advise you to call somebody up and try to trade back.
They need pass rush urgently. Yeah. Mike Green gives you some of that.
He's a damn good football player.
He is their instant edge one, is he not?
I mean
Morgan Fox,
Floyd
sort of the
is
tweener.
on the
Floyd, how old is Leonard Floyd
34,
now?
I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's old.
Sounds about right.
Which Leonard Floyd and Mike Green have some similarities to their game. It would be fun to
That's a good point.
see Green learn under Floyd.
Ebiketie can play. He's a lot better
He's
as
a number two.
a middle to low end, too. Yeah, we're going to go with Mike Green.
With Mike Green on the table now, the edge room starts to look good. You got Ebiketie as your number 2. Green's your number 1. And if he does work out like you think he will, he's just a great technician, a great athlete. I think he'll be good. All right, on to the Cards at 16. This is... I heard Josh Simmons was a potential here the other day because apparently they brought in the Ohio State offensive line coach. That's fun. I don't think I'll do it.
Donovan Jackson.
You never know. They do need guard, and Donovan Jackson is going to go high, I think.
I agree.
The NFL loves athleticism,
People
and
are
he's an
sleeping on
athletic guy. No, I can't do it. I thought about something, but I would get crucified by the non-ball nerds. No, I would absolutely do that here. I thought about Demetrius Knight.
Oh, wow.
The ball knowers would the non-ball knowers would crucify me.
I would not crucify you for what it's worth. Like, don't get me wrong, that's rich for me, but I am a big Demetrius Knight fan, and you've talked me up on him a bit as well.
If you watch the My Guys episode, you know how I feel about Demetrius Knight. For the Cards, I actually don't have many needs written down for them. They're, again, a really quality team. Wide receiver, guard, right tackle, inside linebacker are the big needs for me. Ooh. Let's see. That's an interesting thought. Okay. Oh, man. I really wanted to pick... I wanted to get Zabel in here, but it's not a good fit. The Cardinals almost exclusively run gap. which I know I was just trying to make sure that I was. It's hard to remember sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
Tape runs together. It's harder, but this is a very gap heavy team. Obviously, James Conner and them, and I'd prefer Zabel in a zone blocking system. So if I'm the Cardinals here, you know what? I'm really considering receiver. I know you just drafted one last year in the first round, but why not take another one? A guy that can kind of help Marvin Harrison, not be constantly drowning in double coverage. Michael Wilson's solid, but he's more of a wide receiver 3. I don't know. Does anybody stand out to you that you feel like they should jump on?
I mean, Luther Burden's a skill set that they don't have, and I
Yeah.
feel like Matthew Golden is not redundant with Marvin Harrison Jr.
No.
So you could go with whichever one you like more. I am comfortable with both here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Burden just because they don't have Harrison's great before the catch, but he's middling after the catch, and that same goes for Michael Wilson and Zay Jones. Doesn't move the needle much, so you kind of have a complete skill set there in that receiving room. I mean, you give Kyler Murray a guy to just dump the ball off to, which he desperately needs. You know what I mean? He needs a guy that just runs over the middle of the field. You give him the ball, and then he just becomes Superman after the catch. Because Luther Bird before the catch is a solid football player, a guy you really like, but after the catch, he's just insanely good. So I like this a lot. For the Cardinals at 16, you get a good football player, fill out that receiving room. Suddenly, a kind of like a slight weakness becomes a really strong part of your team. And that's really what I think could move the needle for this offense. You pick him, then you go after a guy like a Ratledge in round 2. Then I think that's if Ratledge makes it to them in round 2, I think it's heavily considered him.
Speaking of teams with strong receiver cores, the Bengals lost shootout after shootout last year.
Ooh.
So should I pick Gray Zabel?
No, they need more receivers.
Oh, obviously.
No, I wouldn't.
Matthew Golden, you are a Bengal.
I wouldn't take Zabel here again because I just lower on him in a gap scheme. You know what I mean? Cincinnati loves to run gap, and it's just like
I thought they were at a fair amount of inside zone last year. What were the percentages?
well, yeah, inside zone, but
true. You'd rather him on a more reach block oriented
because
system.
inside zone you're still as a guard, as a tackle, inside zone's fine for a
good point.
a move blocking guy, but as a guard you're most likely going for the combo block immediately, or you're going for the guy right in front of you. Whereas outside zone, you're obviously moving very far to the outside, which gives you more ability to go speed to power. So you build up speed and you land the arms. Gray Zabel, by the way, he's maybe the best I have ever evaluated at getting his hands on somebody in motion. Whether it be him moving and landing somebody or somebody's coming in on a twist, Zabel has a targeting system that he just locks the hands in because their hands are down on a stunt or a twist. He's coming outside. Zabel just bam, and then he just loses all momentum, and the rep is over for that defensive lineman. I adore him in a zone system. You can take him in a gap system, absolutely. He will be good enough. I just wouldn't take him at 17.
And that's a rare trait, by the way. I feel like people dramatically undervalue a lineman's ability to pick the correct angle to match a defender in space because there are guys who have the athleticism, but they just can't square a guy up properly.
I guess Cincinnati did run more outside zone last year, so, I'm down for it.
It felt like it was just inside zone after inside zone with Chase Brown, and it was fucking painful.
With Chase Brown now,
but they should get him working outside.
Yeah, and they started to do that more. Actually, in the beginning, and they stopped in the end, which was weird. But
yeah, that makes sense.
So if they do that, I'm absolutely down. But
Thank you so much, Zach
can't
Taylor.
trust Zach Taylor at all. So I like that pick. I will say, if you're going to make that pick, I'll just let you decide on something. But if you make that pick, just let me know first.
I kind of want to draft Walter Nolan here as well. Because I like Walter Nolan. I think I like Walter Nolan more than consensus. I'm not absurdly high on him, but I do think he's a day one impact who can develop into a good run defending 3-tech.
Yeah.
And they need defense badly.
They do. And that's if you're going to take an offensive
but
player
you could go
for this
Malachi
team,
Starks as well.
Yeah, because he is again, I don't like pro comps, but there is some Jesse Bates to his game.
There is.
If he was he's kind of a slightly less athletic version of Jesse Bates, just always on time. That would make a lot of sense. It would be a great pick.
I'm glad I talked through that. I think I'm going to go with Malachi Starks.
I love that pick. He was one of the guys I got to later in the process, and I just game I watched him, I was like, yeah, this is just a good football player, man. And there are some parts of this is a guy that is not completely up to NFL speed yet as far as man coverage and zone. He's more of a reactor than an anticipator. But there are some guys that you're just like, that is just the way they play. There are some guys you can see it's developing, it's coming. He's a 21-year-old junior. Get him in an NFL summer camp for a year. He's going to be an anticipator with those elite ball skills and plus athletic traits, not like superhuman, not Nicky Manwari, but plus the hip. He's a little tight in the hips and short area. He's not the best short area athlete, but he's got great long speed. He's got great turn of the hips whenever he's moving. Right? Whenever he's going fast, he can turn the hips and track with anybody. There was a rep where he tracked with Ryan Williams all the way down the field. Williams still caught the ball because Starks got a hand on it, but then it popped in the air and it went into Ryan Williams' hands. Not Starks' fault. You know what I mean? So he's a really good player. Fits great with what Cincinnati and Al Golden wants to do. You're going to run a lot of cover one. You need a guy back there to run the single high and be a rangy safety. There's nobody you really like on this team to be that rangy safety in the cover one. Definitely not trusting Geno Stone nor Jordan Battle to do that. Starks fits perfectly.
And like that being said, is there even a safety in this class that you really feel good about them being sticky man-to-man? Like, nobody's coming to mind for me.
Yeah, I haven't dove. Let me see.
I mean, Xavier Watts has some nice ball hawking moments, but I wouldn't really say that that's his game.
He's not physical enough, in my opinion. I like. I think Kevin Winston can do it.
True.
Well enough. Like that's probably number 2. He's probably number 2. I like him a lot. He's probably number 2 when it comes to man coverage. Eman Warrior's still really raw in that area.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, but I know you're not the biggest Eman Warrior guy. Do you perchance have Kevin Winston above Eman Warrior?
I don't.
Okay.
No, they have similar grades though.
Okay,
so,
I'm in the same boat. Yep.
Like yeah, they're both kind of athletic projects. Whereas Winston, I feel like he has the injury, but I think he is probably a better prospect. The injury knocked him down a little bit below. So a little bit better of a prospect without the injury, but with the injury, we bring him down below Eman Warrior. But Starks here makes a whole lot of sense. And with me at the Seahawks.
Wow, I wonder who this is going to be.
I was very excited for you to get off of Gray Zabel. If you were to make the Gray Zabel, if you were going to decide on Gray Zabel, I was going to use my insider sources to realize that you were deciding on Gray Zabel and offer you a bunch of picks to move up to 17 so that you could still take Starks at 18 or whoever you wanted because, man, he is everything that the Seahawks need right now. Like, there is very few fits more perfect than this one. Zabel to the Seahawks, and Zabel is a fantastic football player. The Seattle Seahawks, they like to zone block. They just do. Well, and they like to zone block, and they love both outside and inside zone. You know what I mean? This is a team that has built their running identity off of running with zone, and that's obviously very evident. They drafted Christian Haynes, the ultimate zone blocking guard, last year, and you bring in Gray Zabel to play opposite to him. This is also a team that sucks in interior offensive line with a quarterback that sucks when he has a shitty interior offensive line. So you bring in a great guard. It's a really simple, really nice fit, scheme-wise, need-wise, and player-wise. This is probably one of the best players still left on the board. Maybe the best player still left on the board. Though, I mean, I don't remember who all is left, but there are very few guys better than him left on. This is a fantastic pick, so much that I would have given you a lot to move up to 17 if you told me you were making the Zabel pick.
I know that they don't actually run picks to the podium anymore. It's all electronic.
No, that was
this is one where, like, you make an exception for this pick, and you physically run this one up.
This is the one that they make a movie about.
There you go.
Trying to get up there. All right. Bucks at 19.
I don't want to make this pick at all.
All right.
I have no desire to make this pick, and I'm just saying Matthew Golden still on the board. Any wide receiver needed teams.
Matthew Golden on the board. Who is here that somebody would want to come up for?
Armand Membu as well.
Yeah, let's look at. So generally, it's a good idea to look at the teams below to see who are you jumping, right? Broncos, Chargers, Steelers, Packers, Vikings. Chargers could take an interior defensive lineman. I think the Chargers could take a tight end. I think the Broncos could take a tight end. So Colson Loveland team might want to move up here. I think the Chargers could move up for Colson Loveland here.
Ooh, that would be an interesting pick.
because I think the Broncos like him. I think if the Chargers think the Broncos are going to take him, they might move up. But if somebody thinks the Broncos are going to take Matthew Golden, also a team that wants a Marion Hampton would move up here because he is not making it past the Broncos, Steelers, and Chargers.
That is a really good point.
So if you're like, the Vikings aren't going to do it, they don't have the capital. Not really a running back needy team here.
Who do the Ravens have at running back?
Nobody important.
Surely.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot of running back needy teams because guess what? All the good teams have good running backs. What? I wonder if there's correlation there.
You feel like tackle is probably going to fall far enough for most of those tackle needy teams to stay
because we're
put.
not. The other GMs in the league because they're all us, and
Yeah.
so it's just like we know Mbembu's not going to go anytime. He'll probably go soon, but I think that. I think I'm the. Ooh, that's a good question. I think you're going to get two offers from me. I think the Chargers are going to offer to move up, and I think the Steelers are going to offer to move up. The Steelers want a Marion Hampton. The Chargers want Colston Loveland. They both think the Broncos are going to take him. They don't know who the Broncos are going to take because also I don't know.
Broncos
who the
pointing a
take.
gun at two teams at once.
They control the cards. I don't know who the Broncos are going to take. You're picking for the Broncos. You have a good idea of that. You're also picking for the Chargers. So if you know who you're going to take at 20, I'm picking for the Broncos. Never mind.
Yeah, you're.
I'm an
picking for the
idiot.
Broncos.
I'm picking for the Broncos and the Chargers. I know who I'm going to take, and since the Chargers are going to rescind their offer, and the Steelers are going to be the only offer on the table. I don't know if that tells you anything about what the Broncos want to do.
Can I do it? I mean, I could have the Packers move up for a wide receiver, which would be wildly entertaining, but they're not actually jumping anybody who's going to take a wide receiver, so they would never do that. 'Cause the
Broncos would take Matthew Golden, I feel like.
Do you feel confident in that?
I don't know. Who's picking for the Broncos? I
know
also
what?
feel like the Chargers might. They need an outside receiver, and I think he can play outside.
That's true.
So
Fuck it. Let's have the Packers move
the
up.
Pack? All right. Am I acting as Goody here?
No,
You want me to be the Bucks?
Yep. No.
Okay.
Okay. You go ahead and you be Goody.
No. You're the Packers. What would you offer for the Bucks? And I'll tell you if it's a reasonable trade.
So I don't have the trade value chart in front of me, but to go from 23 to 19 for a Matthew Golden,
that's going to be
I would definitely give you like a fourth and a fifth.
100 points of material. A fourth and a fifth is less than 100.
I'll give you next year's third.
Next year's third period.
Period.
Straight up. All right, I'd take that trade.
You might call that an overpay, but I do feel like
I don't think it is.
Matthew Golden, I think, is a needle mover in the Packers receiver room.
He's another wide receiver too, but he's a better wide receiver too. He's a better wide receiver
God
too.
damn it.
But you only have wide receiver threes really.
That's a good point.
So like Jaden Reed, I like him, but he's probably not a guy you love as your wide receiver two. Christian, you love him as your wide receiver three though. Christian Watson can't stay on the field, and I forget who else is there. Romeo Dobbs,
who
he's
can't
a
stay
wide
on
receiver
the
three
field
as
half
well.
the time.
Wide receiver three who can't stay on the field. So now you get Dobbs as your wide receiver four, Jaden Reed is your wide receiver three, Matthew Golden is wide receiver two, and Hopes and Dreams is your wide receiver one.
Here we go.
But he is a guy who can get open and gives Jordan Love an easy option. So I like that. So Packers trade 23 and next year's third for
This is a fantasy for me.
for the Bucks 19.
This is dream
So
realization.
Packer moving up, and hey, you get to make the pick. You get to run the pick and to finally do something the Packers haven't done like ever.
And that we won't do. This is Savone Rep.
Jackson Dart.
Yep.
They're gonna-
Never let him know your next move.
Exactly. Jordan Love's going to retire at some point. Get Jackson Dart in the building. Get him
The
on
Aaron
Jordan.
Rodgers strategy. The Brett Favre strategy.
Exactly. All right. What's the pick? Savone Ravel?
Obvious Smile London.
Smile London.
Matthew Golden, run it in. Now it's Broncos time.
There we go. Matthew Golden, a fantastic player. Broncos, so I'm probably just gonna when I said that the Chargers are rescinding their offer, that was because they heard from the Broncos. They heard from George Payton. No, listen, we're thinking about taking a Marion Hampton here, and he's a really good player who is still on the board. I'm just gonna look through the board real quick, make sure we aren't missing anybody that definitely should have gone by now. I don't see anybody. The highest player I have on my board that hasn't gone is Ben Morrison. So reasonable that he hasn't gone by now. And then the next highest is the guy I think I'm going to go with, and that's Marion Hampton here. They need running back desperately, and Marion Hampton is a fantastic running back. Like, there's nothing he can't do. You can put him, and I love him for a multiple team because he can do both at a really high level, which gives you so many more options as far as to how you want to run the offense. You're not limited to any specific package when you want to run a system. When you've got a do-it-all running back like that, that opens up so many opportunities. And I think he's going to advance more. I think he's got plenty of room to advance as a wide receiver, and we know Sean Payton loves running backs who can catch the football. Javonte Williams has become a much better receiver under Sean Payton's system. So Marion Hampton, one of his weaknesses is not the most receiving production. Well, you get him in Payton's system, he's kind of forced to, and you just let him loose behind a really good offensive line. So this is a fantastic pick for the Broncos. Maybe you fill out the offensive line with a center in round 2 or a wide receiver in round 2 as well. We'll get to that, but the Broncos are really happy if Marion Hampton's still here.
I am firmly an Omarion Hampton believer. I'm perfectly fine with him going mid-first round. Early, I think, is a little much, but you talked about him as a pass catcher. I actually really like him as a pass catcher.
I think he's good.
He needs a bit of coaching up. Can absolutely go there.
I think he's probably where I start being okay with him is the earliest is like Cowboys at 12.
I think that's a good line to draw.
He'd fit well there. He'd fit well anywhere. He's one of the. You put him in any system, he's going to be fine.
That is just an instant upgrade for the Broncos. You love that.
All right, and that just gives the receiving core is solid. It's just they're not good enough to carry a team without a run game. That gives the receiving core more leeway. All right, Steelers at 21. Are you going to do it?
So looking at their depth chart and seeing Mason Rudolph there on an otherwise very competitive roster, that is a major eyesore. Especially because later down the board, Jackson Dart, not in year 1. Jalen Milroe, not in year 1.
Immediate Hall of Famer.
Do I do it to myself? Do I take Shadur Sanders?
I would say
at pick 21.
As your assistant GM, I wouldn't like it, but I would do it.
You got Jahdae Barron there. You got Walter Nolan there. Keep the defense really strong.
Both nice picks.
But
let's look over
what happened the last time they picked a low upside quarterback? He's not even on the team anymore.
He's not Kenny Pickett.
He's not Kenny Pickett, but I wouldn't put him head and shoulders above Kenny Pickett.
No, probably not. By too much. I didn't like Kenny Pickett coming out. So
this is a little mini tangent here. I had like a 1 to a 2 on Kenny Pickett, and looking back at how I evaluated him, I would now give him the Shadur Sanders grade. Yeah. So there's maybe a little bit of scar tissue there with I gave a quote-unquote pro-ready quarterback with a low upside and some negative tendencies on tape a little bit too much leeway, and it's tough for me to do it again in an earlier pick.
I will say, Walter Nolan on this defensive line would be downright scary, and Jahdae Barron is a perfect fit for how they want to attack teams. And also, both of them are needs. Cameron Hayward's not going to play forever. You probably need and he's going to be the third or second man in the rotation there based on how much you like Keanu Benton. But they obviously play different roles. It's just how much playtime are they going to get. Both really good picks.
We're going to kick the can down the road. I feel like corners, we haven't seen many corners come off the board yet. You can push that a little bit farther. Pass rushing defensive tackles like Walter Nolan, like you said, keep that defensive line a definitive strength deep into the future. Walter Nolan's the pick. What the hell do you do about quarterback? I don't know. We'll see. We'll cook something up down the board.
Aaron Rodgers might be retiring. Who knows? We're not sure. But Chargers are up at 22. It just seems like every time it's a Michigan guy, and I'm not going to change it. They were considering trading up for Colson Loveland. They don't have to because he fell to them. I think I'm just going to take Loveland. He's my second highest remaining prospect on the board. He's a great football player. He's going to open up their offense so much. Man, he's not the best inline blocker, but he can do it, especially with Harbaugh. I feel like Harbaugh will be able. He's always been able to get the most out of blocking tight ends. Loveland, when he played at Michigan, he knows how to use him and use him in a really great way that makes him make awesome plays and is very productive. And I don't see why that won't translate to the NFL. An NFL-ready catcher, an NFL athlete, an NFL mind, and an NFL route runner. You have issues with the blocking, but they're not that big, and at 22, I don't really care.
And I hate to be this guy because, especially down the board, I do value blocking and tight ends. but it's just not that important.
No.
I do the same thing with offensive tackles. Like, it matters in their equation. I'm not one of the people who's like, the offensive tackle grade is just how good they are in pass protection. But you favor pass protection. It is the more impactful quality, and Colston Loveland, standout receiving tight end, to say the least.
Yeah. I got to say, I'm kind of pissed I'm not making this pick at 23.
I know what you would do.
I know. For the brand, I would do it. I don't expect you to do it because there are better picks here probably for your board, I'm guessing. But for the brand, to show that I'm serious about it, I would definitely, because I think that's the best pick here, Demetrius Knight. But I will say, obviously, I am very high on him, and even this is in the higher range of. He is technically my number 21 player on my board. It's just this is high for him, so I wouldn't expect you to make this pick, and I don't think you probably should. But I would like to say that I'd like to put it out there that I would make this pick.
If Baker has another really strong season next year, the Bucs are legitimately contenders.
Yeah, this is a fantastic roster. I have no needs for them offensively.
O-line is really coming along. Jalen McMillan, who turned it on down the home stretch last season, is your wide receiver 3. Bucky Irving and Rashad White. I mean, even Sean Tucker, I think, is like a big-time favorite of this front office. Sean Tucker looks like a guy who can play. No offensive needs. And, like, on the defensive line, people talk about needing edge. Hassan Reddick, yeah, he's got to get back to it. But Yaya Diaby is, like, a solid number 2 edge rusher. Like, probably in that upper echelon of number 2 edge rushers in the NFL. Still sitting on Chris Braswell there, developing. You got Vita Vea, Logan Hall, and Kalijah Cansey. That's a nice nasty interior defensive line. And then the secondary isn't bad at all. It's like, I kind of want to trade down again here.
I mean, it makes
Who's coming
sense. Who's coming up, though?
Jahdae Barron sitting around, Armand Membu, Kenneth Grant, Josh Simmons.
Yeah, let's see.
I'm sorry, it's making me sick seeing Omar Norman Lott at pick 27.
Jesus Christ, disgusting.
Yeah.
Who wants to come up here? I think the Texans would consider coming up for Membu.
That's a really good call out. Oh my God, we're gonna move down to 2 more picks. It's just gonna be a waterfall down the board.
We're doing the thing that every fan does for their team, which is trade back 13 times in a mock draft when it's not realistic, but this time it's actually happening. And I think the Texans would do this just because I think the Rams would also want to do this. So I think the Rams and the Texans both want to trade up for Armand Membu here. Rams, obviously, they run quite a bit of wide zone. Membu's good at that. He's good at everything, really. He can be good at everything. But Membu was a great fit for the Rams, and he's a great fit for the Texans. They both desperately need right tackle because Havenstein he's not as good anymore, and he's way too injury prone. He does not factor much into your future plans. But that's a great fit for the Rams because guess what? You can sit Membu behind an experienced vet for a while, and if he gets injured, you slot him in. Week 9, that's perfect timing. So I think both of them want to come up here. The question is, which team do you think would give the better value?
What capital do the Rams have?
So let's. Rams they do not have their second round pick, but I don't think anybody's giving their second round pick.
You're not giving your second for that, no way.
But they have 90, 101, 127, 190. Let's see what the trade value chart says. Now, it's not the Bible or anything, but we'll.
It's a good reference.
We'll go to it every once in a while. They said they're missing 60 points of material to get up there. I don't think they'd give their third to do that.
No, that's a little much.
It's rich, but for a bidding war for a guy this athletic, I think you could get there, maybe
4th and a 5th.
127 and 201 since I'm the Rams. I'd give you 127 and 201.
Is that this year or next year?
This year. But what would the Texans give? Texans, see, they've got 89, and then they've got 166. So it would have to be a 4th next year, or you're giving up 89. So
what about 127 and a next year 4th?
No.
2 4ths too much?
Yeah. I'm not trying to give up more than the 4th because this is not that much, and they have other needs.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'll take your first offer because I really don't want to make this pick for the Buccaneers.
So I'm the Rams. So I'll make this pick. So Rams trade 26, 127, and 201 to the Buccaneers for 23.
You won't give me 195?
No.
Fair enough.
You're not getting. I want that. There's a guy that is going to be there that I want.
What if I throw in 157?
Oh yeah, well I do that then. That's just losing value for you.
Oh shit. What if I throw in 235?
What if you throw in?
What if I throw in a next year's 6th round pick?
What if you throw in next year's first round pick?
I would strongly consider that.
That's good. Okay. I'm taking Armand Membu here for the Rams.
All right, let's
Great
do it.
fit. You need right tackle. All of a sudden, this offensive line looks damn good. Avila, Limmer, and I'm forgetting who's the plays on the right side. But you got Alaric Jackson, Avila, Limmer, and Kevin Dotson.
No, he didn't get traded.
No, he's still there.
Who got traded to the Bears?
Jonah Jackson.
Jonah Jackson. Yeah.
Yep, Jonah Jackson got traded. He was a Lion, though. He used to be a Ram. Lion this year. Traded.
Wait, what?
He was a Lion this year, wasn't he?
Was he? Have I had that wrong this entire time?
Or no, he was a Ram. He used to be a Lion, and then he was a Ram.
God, remembering all these offensive linemen, it's tough work.
Yeah, so he got traded to the Rams in 2024. By the Lions traded him to the Rams traded him to the Bears, but they're running out. But that's just to run out of Avila and Dotson again. So yeah, you take Membu, and this offensive line is set for ideally. You've got guys that could theoretically be starters for the next 4 or 5 years. So this is a fantastic offensive line, fantastic fit. Rams are very happy about this. Vikings at 24. It's you. Very common trade back spot.
It's not me.
Oh yeah, it's me. I just made a pick. Sorry. You'll make 2 picks in a row. Well, actually, you'll make 3 picks in a row down there after I've made 3 picks in a row.
Wait, what? What's going on here?
Because you're picking for the Bucks at 26, right? Because I picked Membu for 23.
Oh, so you keep the teams.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because you made the choice to trade down, you have to stick with it.
Fair point.
So Vikes 24 here. Hampton's gone. Would have been a nice fit. There's plenty of needs, but man, you look at the capital on this team, it's just not good. 24, 97, 139, and 187 are the only picks they have. I want to move back, and I want to get some capital, and I'm going to start. I'm at the point where if I'm a QB needy team, I'm looking at Shedeur Sanders here. There are no QB needy teams left in the first round. There's one at 33, and there's one at 34. The Titans and the Browns could both come up for this pick. Now, you control the number 35 and number 33. I control number 34 for the Titans. So I think both of those guys would come up for him. I think Saints at 40 might.
I don't hate that.
Big trade, but I think they'd do that. So this is a big pick. Let's spend some time on it. I think this is where Sanders goes. If I'm the John,
let's do it. Let's get that done.
If I'm the Titans, with 34, I'd trade up here. So, what would you give as 33 Andrew Berry to move up to 24 and get your guy, Sanders?
I mean, I would give you a 5th round pick.
A 5th round pick. Okay, well we're not going to ask the Browns.
But why don't I check the trade value chart?
The Browns don't get to choose. I do control the Saints at 40 though.
I think that's a little insane.
Well, but
that's
not
a big move up.
No, but last year.
I'm not saying it's insane based on precedent. I'm saying you'd have to give up a lot for Shedeur Sanders.
But not really. Texans 2024 trade. Because the Texans traded back from 24 to 42 last year. Or 23 to 42. And Vikings had to give up their 2nd round pick, 42, and their 2nd round pick this year. So it's doable. But again, when you're getting a bidding war with Sanders, it is not great. So you'd have to give up more picks. Vikings are just looking for picks here. What do the Saints have to offer? I don't think the Saints really want to give that much, though. That's the tough part.
We have to make up like 200 to 250 points of material. Probably air toward 250.
I think you give up. If I'm the Saints, I'm giving up 40, a 2, and 131 to get the deal done. Do you think the Browns would match? Do you think the Browns would be able to come up with it? Would they give up an extra second-round pick to move up?
No.
No? Okay, then
I
they're out.
couldn't do that.
The Titans already passed on quarterback. To take one now wouldn't look great. The Saints...
I mean, the value they got would look pretty sexy.
That's true. Hunter and
I
Sanders.
wouldn't rule that out.
You keep
That would
Sanders
be-
and Hunter together.
Oh!
That is a way that Sanders works out. That is a
Their
great...
line is shaping up in a hurry.
You need a great line.
They've got another fucking second-round pick sitting right there.
Yeah, they're the closest team. And if the Titans aren't going to do it, they got them beat by quite a bit. What would a Browns trade package look like? 33. And I'd say either 67 or the round 2 next year.
I would be more comfortable with 67 there in that vacuum.
33, 67, and 104, 179, 192, 200 to finish the deal. Because you got to beat the Saints offer here.
At some point, that just sounded like numbers to me.
Early 4th, 5th, 6th.
And then what's the main part of the deal?
33 and 67.
Yeah, let's do that.
So 33, but which one of the picks? Do you want to give up an early 4th or a 5th? Like, which one do you want to offer?
I would prefer the 5th. Okay,
well, you'll offer the 5th.
This is what real war room conversations sound like.
I think that the Vikings they don't care about picks in next year's draft. They care about picks in this year's draft. They take the Browns deal. Browns move up to 24.
Well, okay, I'll offer you the fucking 4th rounder, if that's what it takes.
No, I'm saying the Browns move up to 24.
Instead of the Titans.
Instead of the Saints. Titans rescinded themselves from the unless you want to offer 35, but me is 34. I rescinded myself from the conversation.
Oh,
If you wanted to offer with the Titans, they can go head to head.
Oh, wait.
That would make a lot of sense.
We got Travis Hunter on the Browns. All right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not a numbers guy, as you can tell.
You're good. So Browns offer Vikings they want 33, 67, and 179 to move up. They think that's better than getting a second-round pick next year from the Saints, which I'd agree with them. They need picks this year. Next year doesn't do them any good. They're contending.
Now I just got to punch this into the PFF mock draft simulator.
So you make the trade.
Yes, I
All
do.
right. We got a big QB move. Both quarterbacks are going to be drafted as a result of a trade. The Browns move back into the first round and select Shedeur Sanders. Yes.
Yes.
Select Shedeur Sanders. This is to pair with Travis Hunter, and I love this fit because this is a way that Shedeur works out. He is probably going to hit his ceiling best if he has Travis Hunter on the team. And I know that's kind of insane to say, but when you're playing with your best friend and a guy you've got so much chemistry with, that definitely helps a lot. And this is in the range where I feel okay taking Shedeur. Like, I have a true 2 on him. You have a 2 through 3, I believe.
Yes.
And for quarterbacks, I'd take a 2 through 3 or a true 2 at the end of the first round because they really need it. And you've developed a solid supporting cast around him with Travis Hunter, with Jerry Jeudy, and Njoku even. So I like this.
So this is 33, 67, 94, 104, 179?
No, just 33, 67, 104.
And one, okay. All right, let me force that trade. Wow, that was an adventure.
That was an adventure, but we arrived.
I feel like we won the draft with that one.
We finished. I mean, getting Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter is kind of
That's
nuts.
pretty sweet.
But the Vikes are happy too because now you have an extra, basically a second-round pick and basically a third-round pick.
They've got pretty solid draft capital now.
So yeah, now you're feeling good. You got 33 base. You got It's like you won the Super Bowl and you have those picks.
There
now.
you go.
Like that's a perfectly fine
Keep
draft
dreaming,
capital.
Vikings fans.
So now you've got 7 picks versus or 6 versus 4. Very nice.
My run of picks now, 25, 26, 27.
Well, yes, your run of picks now. You're going to actually get 4 picks in a row because I traded up because Sanders, we're going to have trouble remembering this down the board.
This is going to be freaking sweet. I can't wait.
3 picks in a row, Texans, Bucks, Ravens. What do you got?
Texans has to be simple, right? It's got to be Josh Simmons.
Yeah.
He's the best offensive lineman still on the board because, Membu went.
Rams
I would
beat you
honestly
out.
take Simmons above Membu, so I think they beat themselves out. Josh Simmons, easy selection. Don't have to spend too much time on that one.
You at all worried about the injury?
It's hard for me to know because I'm not the one doing the medical examination, but
true.
it sounds like he's progressing fine.
It's a rough offensive line injury, though. It's one that's like
True.
historically just decimated guys.
But the thing is, he was like definitively the best pass protecting tackle in this class. Like
So
I'm done saying that he might be the best pass protector. He's like clearly the best pass protector. I think the moment it really clicked for me is when I was sorting through some PFF offensive line stats, and he's at like 99.3% pass blocking efficiency, and he's like 0.5% above the next highest guy in the Power 5, which is just absolutely wild. Like that is a tier in its own right.
He's just so good, and they need offensive line. So if he's healthy, and the Texans have a really good strength and injury staff. Like this is a good staff that has historically been able to deal with guys like that. Like come in injury prone, and we're going to get them healthy. They bounce back quickly. So this is a good fit for Simmons and a good place for him to go.
All right, the Buccaneers. So who's coming up for this pick?
Well, Jalen Milroe still needs to go off the board. So
Oh man, I'm looking at Jahdae Barron.
I mean that makes a lot of sense.
It does, because I've heard that they're trying to move Tyke back to more of a traditional free safety alignment.
Yeah.
That's one of their offseason priorities. I think this has to be Jahdae Barron. I really like the value here. I'm not a Barron hater.
It's good. Absolutely. I have a 1 through 2 on it myself. It's good value. Plus, Bowles loves guys who can play multiple positions, and Barron can do that. He loves guys who are heady. They know what they're looking at. They're good instinctual defensive backs, and Barron fits the mold. So this makes a lot of sense for a team that I think they need another guy in that rotation to just play somewhere, and Barron is the ultimate throw him in a position and let him play football.
I think that that's an excellent pick. And then we have the Ravens at 27. And this is the one that I haven't thought out quite as much. I don't know if there's a chalky pick here.
There really isn't. They're a hard team to draft for because they need an X, kind of.
We got all the good receivers off the board. Like
Hey.
all the definitive round ones. I am entertaining Jaden Higgins here,
All
by
right,
the way.
I'll
But
take
like
that.
I think we did a good job getting rid of the wide receivers, because sometimes they can fall and it doesn't quite feel right.
Yeah, the
Making 50 trades has really helped us.
it has. We should make trades more often. We should, a predictive mock draft. Everyone trades every pick. I have guard listed as a need for them. I don't remember why.
They've got Falele and Andrew Voorhees.
Yeah, and
you could put another body in that
you
room.
could use another guy. Booker would go well. Edge and I think you can use another body in the defensive back room.
Yeah, they have some good options. You got Chidobe Awuzie to complement Marlon Humphrey. Nate Wiggins looked really good as a rookie.
Oh, yeah.
You could use a safety.
Darius Washington's good enough, though. So it's like,
Yeah,
and there's nobody here that you think is going to be better year one than Darius Washington, I think.
I would agree with that. So I'm looking strongly at defensive line.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Get another. Well, Kenneth Grant's here. That could make a lot of sense.
I was thinking
Put them
Kenneth Grant or
alongside.
Donovan Ezeraku.
Yeah,
personally.
Grant and Jones would be basically unbeatable defensive line run-stopping duo. And then Ezeraku fits perfectly into that kind of 3-4. We want you to drop into coverage sometimes kind of role that they got. He can learn from Kyle Van Noy, a similar player. Would be a great fit.
They really need guys that can just win pass rush reps at a consistent clip, and I think that's the best thing that Ezeraku gives you. High character guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the highest on Donovan Ezeraku, but I like this fit a lot, and that's going to be the pick.
And this is a good range for him to go in. Yeah, that's a very Ravens pick, I think. Just taking the best defensive lineman left. All right, so it's me back with the Lions after 4 consecutive
And
picks.
now you have 6 picks in a row somehow.
Yeah. No, we're actually pretty good until the second round starts, and it just gets very weird. I think I have no idea what's going to happen in the second round, what works.
It's going to be sick.
It's going to be great.
Like sickening.
Yeah. Lions at 28. I usually take Tyler Booker here.
I like that.
I'm thinking, though, this is a Kenneth Grant spot if I've ever seen one. I mean, I don't
He's
think they
not
need
usually
it.
here.
They don't need it, but I mean, he's very redundant with DJ Reader, but DJ Reader's kind of on his way out of the league, right?
He wasn't great last year.
You know, so
Tough to project him moving forward.
who else could you take? You know what I mean?
You could take Booker. Like Booker's
You
a
could take
really
Booker.
solid
Absolutely,
pick.
you could take Booker, and I think I consider Jaden Higgins here. You need a big-bodied X.
Which, by the way, Tyler Booker is like minus 400 to go in the first round right now, and that is really rich.
That's a lot. I wouldn't.
But
take that.
anyway,
Yeah. it's kind of redundant, but they love to build through the trenches and see in advance, so I think they could absolutely take Grant, and I'm really high on Kenneth Grant. No, I like the idea of taking an edge here, but there's just nobody that stands out to me. This is not a Pierce team, and I'm not very.
It's like the anti-Pierce team.
Yeah, I'm a lot lower on Skirton than you are. Braden Swinson, maybe he's probably the guy I would take if I were to take an edge here, but it's probably between Booker and Grant. And I know you need guard, but there's something about the Kenneth Grant fit. DJ Reader he'll probably be gone in a year or two. He could use some time to develop, and in the meantime, you just throw him out there. I think he can play a 3-tech and run defense, even though you're probably going to lose to some good zone teams like that. But I mean, if you're playing a gap-heavy team like Cincinnati, not that they would be playing them, but if you're playing a gap-heavy team, overall, like, you could destroy things with Kenneth Grant and DJ Reader. So I think Grant profiles really well for what they want to do. He's a knee biter, considering he can bend the knees so low in his anchor that he can bite your knees, because that's how good he is with leverage as a run defender.
It goes beyond getting underneath guys' pads.
Yep.
Like he's getting underneath guys' feet. It's weird to watch.
He's
actively digging every single snap under the offensive line. And then it's like something you'd see in Looney Tunes. You see an arm pop up, and he's in the backfield for a TFL. Like, this is groundbreaking stuff.
This is genius. All right, Commanders on the clock at 29. What are you thinking?
It's got to be defensive back, right?
Interesting. I think there are a couple of options here, but yeah, DB's definitely one of them.
They could add to the defensive line.
They have a deceptive amount of needs.
Especially on defense.
Yeah, Mason Taylor.
Oh, hell no.
See, okay, so we were talking about this before the show, but Andrew Siciliano went on his phone and said that 3 tight ends are going to be taken in the first round, and Mason Taylor will be one of them. And if he's not talking about he's got to be talking about the Commanders or the Eagles, I think. Or that the Chiefs would consider it. They wouldn't do it because I'd hope they would. That would be a good day for me as a Broncos fan.
That would be a good day for the entire league, because that would be a fucking stupid pick.
It would be bad. I think I have a true 2 on Mason Taylor. It's just early. It's way too early for me. If it's not the Eagles, then it's the Commanders, I think.
And I thought about tight end for them for about 3 seconds before I said we need a higher value position, and I don't want to reach down the board. If Tyler Warren fell, I'd entertain that. Yeah. I'm thinking Maxwell Hairston. Is it insulting for me to kick Mike Sanders still into the slot after what he showed on the perimeter?
No, I think it's more of a just like, hey, Hairston is a great outside corner and you're a great nickel, so Hairston is a lot worse. Any guy that we brought in is going to be a lot worse than you are at nickel, so you're still going to be a really good football player at nickel, and if we need you on the outside, you can play the outside. It's not an insult at all. I think it's just saying, hey, doesn't mean you're worse at outside corner, it just means we need you more at nickel right now.
Or do I take Benjamin Morrison?
Ooh.
Who is still hanging around here and who is one of the most underrated players in the draft.
He's still hanging around. You forget about him because no one ever talks about him.
Which is annoying.
Yeah. Definitely could have gone with him at a couple of the last picks, but I like what we picked. There's really no place I think I would have changed it too much. Benjamin Morrison's in consideration here. You're a Skirton guy. Skirton could be in play.
No, not for me. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Nick Skirton. He is another, like, true 2 with a very conditional 1 based on landing spot. I view him very similarly to how I view Membu on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I think it's between Morrison and Hairston for me.
They're both good picks.
I'm liking Hairston more and more. Yeah. He had a really good Senior Bowl, which helped fill in the cracks with the man coverage that we didn't see him play very often at Kentucky. He looked the part. He looked like he could play press. Oh, man, he's a burner of an athlete. High upside. I think I'm going to go Maxwell Hairston.
That's a good pick. I'm really fucking pissed because every single Demetrius Knight landing spot is going to you.
Don't worry. I see him.
Okay. I know
his range is beginning, Victor.
That's good.
In fact, you know what?
It's going to end here, though. I'm going to take him. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
His range started a little while ago.
That's great.
He's high up on the board.
His range.
I'm not getting rid of his name.
His range started at 1 for me. If I'm an NFL GM in this draft, I'm writing Demetrius Knight Jr. no matter what.
Do we know that he can't play fullback? and
No.
play two ways?
He can play fullback.
I figured.
I'd say absolutely. He can play quarterback. He can do whatever you want him to do.
Do we know that he can't be a kick returner?
No. We don't know anything for certain.
There you go.
All right. Bills at 30. I consider it. But Bills are really mad. Kenneth Grant left the board.
Oh, they're just ungodly pissed.
They're irate. I mean, they are just...
Tyleek?
See, I'm not the biggest Tyleek guy. I either think he's great at run. I'd sooner take Alfred Collins than I would Tyleek Williams here.
Okay.
But that's a good fit. I'm considering that. I would take Alfred Collins here.
We don't see that pick like ever.
Not in the first round. Maybe just to make a point, I would do that. Because when you're looking at this wide receiver, I love Emeka Egbuka. It's just not here. They already have Khalil Shakir.
Not to the Khalil Shakir team, no way.
Jaden Higgins is here, though, and you know I'm a Jaden Higgins guy. They need an outside corner.
He's a little redundant with Keon Coleman, though. Like, don't get me wrong, they're not the same player, but they both win off of physicality on the perimeter only.
But I don't think Higgins wins off. I think he's a smooth route runner who can win inside and outside.
I think that's a fair way to put it, because Keon Coleman...
I think he gives you more finesse from a bigger body, whereas Keon Coleman's more of your traditional big body guy.
Keon Coleman will beat you up, whereas Jaden Higgins is more using his physicality in subtle ways, like a power forward in basketball.
Exactly. And Coleman is more like he's like Shaq, except not good.
That's a great comp.
All right. But, man, you cannot ignore the need for run defending defensive tackles. And then overall, let's just look at who's left. Let's just do a quick evaluation of the board overall. Who's still there that we think Egbuka will go very soon. James Pierce will go very soon. Who's a guy that I don't really want to pick here. I'd like to move down a couple of spots and take Alfred Collins later. Because I don't think anybody else is going to take Alfred Collins anytime soon.
No, I doubt it.
Because this is the earliest he would go for me. I wouldn't chance it too long because I don't think if I'm picking all the picks, he's not making it out of the top 40. But I don't think he'd make it out of the first round. So I might ask Tennessee. They've got maybe they've got 2 second-round picks. Maybe they want to move one of them up. I don't know. Who's a player here that somebody would want to move up for? Egbuka.
I was thinking Egbuka. Who did the Titans have? They took Abdul Carter. Okay, so they did not get Travis Hunter. I'm having a hard time remembering that. Because I'm so
he always goes at 1 for us and what we would do.
Exactly.
Except we pulled the trigger this time on Ward. Yeah, they don't really have that smooth route runner from the slot to win. Like Ridley's solid on the outside, but he's not the same kind of player.
And I don't know how much of a long-term facet on the Titans Ridley is either.
Yeah, because he's older. He's older.
They could really get ahead of things here.
That makes sense.
Who are the rest of the receivers?
Burks and and Van Jefferson. Nobody that's moving the needle for you.
I think this is Emeka Egbuka.
I agree. So Titans, I think they have to move 34. They have 34 and 35 in Buffalo. Just give us 34. You jackass. Give us 34. And I think the Titans have to give up 34 to make the trade work. What else do they have to give up?
Is a 4th enough here?
Yes. I think it is.
I think that's a really good value.
According to the value chart, I think that would definitely be enough. You have to make up about 60 points of value, and a 4th rounder is about 60 points of value. So a 4th is enough here.
All right. We'll make that move.
120 and 34. Because 103, I think you could get away with giving up 120. Just 120.
I like the sound of that.
All right.
So this is pick 34 for the Titans, right?
Yeah.
Because they have 35 as well?
Yes. So this is a really weird. This is going to make 33, 34, and 35 really hard to make the picks.
I'm going to love this.
But I'm making this pick here, I think.
141 are we giving up?
120.
120. There we go.
I think I'm making this pick here. Either way, it's Emeka Egbuka, so it doesn't matter. Let's just say I made the pick. It was Emeka Egbuka at 30. This is a great fit. You got a guy for your quarterback next year to throw to. And it just feels like at 30, Emeka Egbuka should not go this late. He's just such a good player. He's so good. I think he could go in the top 20, and I'd be ecstatic if I was a team to get a good player this good. But really, he just continues to fall to the later guys because those are the guys that need immediate impact guys. So at 30, Titans make a lot of sense.
Now we've got the Chiefs at 31, a team with a really sneaky amount of needs. They could honestly go anywhere, and it wouldn't be a straight-up bad pick. Josh Connerly feels like the obvious one, and I am not there, and I don't think that that's what I'm going to do. I
Fair
mean,
enough.
you can get by with, the guy they signed from the 49ers who had decent pass blocking efficiency numbers, but
More.
yeah, Jalen Moore, is it? And then, the guy whose name I always forget, Juwan Taylor. Like, don't get me wrong. It's definitely a bottom half tackle group, and it's probably the worst tackle group of any team that's viewed as a serious, deep playoff contender. But you can get by there.
And there's still the second round.
And there's still the second round as well. I'm looking at defense.
Out of curiosity, who's your sixth tackle, assuming Connerly's 5?
My sixth tackle. On my board?
Yes.
Connerly is not 5 for me.
Oh, my. Who's 5?
Your Wi-Fi is killing me.
Oh, jeez.
Right now, I have Ursery, who I see flashes from at tackle.
Jeez.
But him, Savainea, and Connerly in the same tier. They're great.
Savainea as a tackle?
I don't love it. Okay, so he's a guard
Yeah.
who I think there are conditions where you could entertain failing him at tackle.
I couldn't do it, but I respect it.
And because the guard valuation is lumped in with tackle, but the tackle valuation is not lumped in guard, he comes out slightly higher at tackle. Yeah, he's a guard. I view him as a guard. But I don't mind Ursery. It feels like Ursery kind of gets talked down on.
I feel like people talk about him like he's a useless piece of shit
Yes,
a lot.
there you go.
I have him as 3 through 4 to be clear, but
Okay.
I think he's a better technician than people give him credit for. I just think there is some massive holes in his game that you just cannot overcome.
How bad of a mover in pass sets do you think he is?
I think he's good.
I thought so as well.
I think he's a good linear mover, but when he just can't move laterally. For me, just at all. And he's massive, but he plays really massive. Sometimes he's heavy-footed, and he's just he's upright in a way that is just not going to change. That's just who he is. So when you're upright and you really can't move laterally, that severely limits your capability at tackle. I mean, I like him. He's a really fun player, but I don't think he'll ever be anything more than an average starter at best as a tackle. Maybe a move to guard would work, but even then, there are still some issues. So.
I gotta say, watching Ursery play at 331 gives me more appreciation for watching Membu play at 332.
Yeah.
It helps you put things in
There's
context.
something. I think he is a solid mover forward as far as he's got pretty good feet for someone that size, so I think you can put him in his own system, and he'll be fine.
And that's, I think, where I branch off from a lot of people who see him kind of in that Tyler Booker mold where it's like he's man gap only.
Booker he cannot do zone. Ursery can probably prefer him in a gap, but if you're a zone team and you want to take and you like him, then I think you should take him because I think he can do it.
And to be clear, I'm not super high on Ursery. I'm not a Josh Connerly guy.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Josh Connerly hater because there's some people who really think
undraftable,
who really think he's a useless piece of shit. And I'm not there with him, but it is not a slam dunk for me for the Chiefs to take him. It's ultimately where this conversation is coming to.
Are our draft grades just going to be categorized into useless piece of shit, not a useless piece of shit?
I would say there would be too many useless pieces of shit doing that because there would only be 20 players who are not useless pieces of shit.
I think at the end of our draft grades episode, we should when we give full grades out to all teams, we should also give a grade out to the GMs. Useless piece of shit. Or not a useless piece of shit.
I know where Brian Gutekunst is going.
Well, listen, man. What if he doesn't take Smail London, though? What if he trades up? What if he gives up a 5th round pick to move up to number 1 to take Smail London?
Shit is going off the rails.
Oh,
Who are we taking
another
for the
round
Chiefs?
to go?
Yeah, oh my God.
Oh, man. Okay.
We just crossed the 2 hour mark. It will go faster after this, though.
Theoretically.
We promise.
We always say that. Who are you taking for the Chiefs? If it helps, I can give you my needs.
Well, I'm looking at defensive tackle. Oh my God.
Yeah,
What's the name of the guy out of Oregon who I always call Omar Norman Lott, who is not Omar Norman Lott?
Derek Harmon?
Derek Harmon,
Ooh,
yes.
That's a nice pick here. You desperately need somebody aside from Chris Jones on the interior.
Badly. We're having a conversation about how crucial Chris Jones is in their scheme. Mm-hmm. I fundamentally agree. If you take him out of the equation, everything falls apart. And he's 32 years old?
Shit, man. God damn it. But Harmon is he's not Chris Jones, but he could be in that mold. He could be the heir apparent while being a great number 2 for the next couple, as long as Jones is still playing. Makes a lot of sense.
Derek Harmon, done.
Right.
Eagles.
Great pick. Eagles, I'm going to take Dylan Fairchild.
Love it.
Love it. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm just logging the pick in. Derek Harmon. Surprised he made it this far. He's a really good player.
Yes.
But we're here with the Eagles. Again, not a team that needs too much. I think they could use another guard. Don't love Tyler Steen as a starter. Could use another edge as well, just to keep
James
that
Pierce.
room fresh. Yeah.
I love that we hate James Pierce Jr.
Like,
I feel so good about that take.
I just the off the field issues. Plus, I don't love him as a player on the field. Just kind of, you know.
James Pierce Jr. and Omar Norman Lott are the two players I can currently see remaining on the big board, and it's making me really nauseous. I just hate Tennessee. I hate everything about Tennessee.
Why is Norman
Trevor
Lott
fucking
so high?
loves him.
Trevor, what are we doing, man?
Okay, I love NFLSC, but Trevor, like, every year has, like, 5 guys that he just falls in love with. Like,
as you should.
Like
we
Brett
do
Coleman
too.
and more.
We do too. I mean, I'm shocked that I haven't taken Demetrius Knight yet. I might take him here.
Fair point.
Um,
That would be awesome.
For me, it's between two of my guys here. It's between Demetrius Knight and Ben Morrison. Ben Morrison, again, not a guy who has a bunch of experience in zone, but absolutely can play it. And when you're playing in that quarters Fangio system, you do play quite a bit of man. That's what people don't realize, that zone isn't just straight zone every time.
A huge thing to remember.
Like the country cover 3, just straight up cover 3 isn't played anymore. You would get annihilated. You have to match, and you have to do all these clever things that defensive coordinators do, that a lot of it was created or popularized by Vic Fangio. I think Fangio would use Morrison well. I really wanted to get Demetrius Knight into the first round, though. Unfortunately, I don't think I will be able to. Though it is a really, really, really great fit and a very high pick. It's a fantastic fit because he's a pro-ready guy that will help win a Super Bowl this year. They kind of need linebacker, and they need a big thumping guy to. Kobe Dean gets hurt a lot. Need a big thumper if you're gonna run base sometimes. I don't know. Vikings would probably take Ben Morrison at 33, so we don't slide much further. Now, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Demetrius Knight just to prove a point.
Let's go.
And I think that this is a good pick either way. I think it's just as good a pick as Ben Morrison. I'm very sad that Ben Morrison made it out of the first round in a what we would do mock draft. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So we move on.
We haven't really seen the run on cornerbacks yet.
Yeah. This is my pick, though, 33 with the Vikings.
Is it?
Yeah, because I traded back from 24. And
They do pick at 24, don't they? Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's recap who went and everything. For the first round, we're a round through now. Oh, boy.
Dear God.
I forgot who we even picked.
Good thing we started early.
This is true.
My computer's going to die.
Number 1, Cam Ward of the Giants. Number 2, Travis Hunter. Number 3, Abdul Carter. 4, Ted McMillan. Number 5, Tyler Warren. Number 6, Will Johnson. Number 7, Mason Graham. Number 8, Ashton Jeanty. Number 9, Will Campbell. Number 10, Mikael Williams. Number 11, Shamar Stewart. Number 12, Jalen Walker. 13, Banks. 14, Shiad Campbell. 15, Mike Green. 16, Luther Burden. 17, Malachi Starks. 18, Gray Zabel. 19, Matthew Golden to the Pack. Marion Hampton to the Broncos at 20. Walter Nolan at 21. Colson Loveland at 22. Membu to the Rams at 23. Sanders, Shadur to the Browns at 24. Josh Simmons at 25. Jahdae Barron to the Buccaneers at 26. Donovan Ezaraku to the Ravens at 27. Kenneth Grant to the Lions at 28. Maxwell Harrison at 29. Egbuka to the Titans at 30. Derek Harmon at 31. And Demetrius Knight at 32 to the Eagles.
I'm glad that you clarified that it was Shadur Sanders getting taken there, because people were going to assume that it was Raheem Sanders.
No, they were going to think
that would be
Shiloh.
a little rich. Who?
Useless piece of shit. I'm just kidding. We love you, Dion. Don't take offense. But yeah, this makes it really easy for me. For Minnesota, you take the highest rated defensive back on the board, and that is by far Benjamin Morrison. So
That's a rock
easy.
solid pick.
Don't even got to think about it. I think I have the next pick too, because it's Buffalo.
Where did they pick at? Were they 28?
They were 30.
All right, that's you.
So then that's me, and I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to take Alfred Collins. So we get a little bit of a 3-pick run for me of just my guys. Really?
Should just be the entire episode.
Trevor, what the fuck, man? Why did I have to scroll so far to see Alfred Collins' name?
Where's he at?
79.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Trevor, what are we
Could
doing?
be worse.
Man?
There's worse.
Trevor needs to come on the pod and explain himself.
Because we know he's listening to
We
this.
know he is. He's a big fan.
Oh, Hugh. Yep.
He's a
Yep.
big fan. Trevor, come on to the pod and explain yourself. We'd love to have
We
you.
actually inspired NFLSC.
Yeah, we did. It was not the other way around. Oh, okay. That was a lot, but Morrison makes a lot of sense with the Vikes and Alfred Collins. The Bills, year after year, we say, please, Buffalo, take a run-stopping defensive tackle. And I think Alfred Collins is the best run-stopping defensive tackle in this class, even better than Kenneth Grant. And I think he's got potential to be a good pass rusher if somebody can unlock that. And McDermott's a damn good coach, and I think he can do that. He gets the best out of a lot of guys like Rousseau. Project coming out, he gets the best out of him. So, well, at least a high echelon of guys he gets to learn in a room, I believe. Did Von Miller get cut?
Yes.
Yeah. But he gets to learn under Daquan Jones, who they are very similar players. Daquan Jones, a similar size, athletic profiles. Jones, a nasty run defender, and in his prime, he was a solid pass rusher. This is a fantastic fit for Alfred Collins, a fantastic fit for the Bills. I love it, and I love that I got to fit in him this early, and I like that I got Demetrius Knight. That was a nice 3-pick run for me. Fulfilled a lot of draft. This whole cycle, that was kind of a full circle moment for me, that 3-pick run.
You were waiting for it
Yeah.
from the moment you started evaluating players.
That was nice. All right, you're up with the Titans at 35. Could not go up and get Sanders. Passed on quarterback at 1, traded back to 3 to get Abdul Carter. Who are they going to take at 35?
So the edge room is looking a lot more
It's
palatable
looking real nice.
with Abdul Carter there. You could use cornerback. It's
Yeah.
playable right now. Oh, especially when you look at their safeties. Amani Hooker's starting for him right now.
He's good, kind of. Good enough.
Is it going to dissuade you from taking Nick Emanwari here? Because he's hanging around.
Not
Like
really.
I'm not the biggest Emanwari guy, but it feels like there's a sect of people I see online who are really anti-Emanwari, and I'm not willing to go that far. What are their other obvious needs?
Jalen Milroe.
I'm
Year
not
one
doing
starter.
that.
Surely that'll go well. Fair enough. You filled the edge need. I think linebacker is a pretty big need. Wide receiver. But other than that, it's DB, linebacker, and wide receiver are the only ones that they haven't addressed or should not address at this pick.
They could really use like a Jaden Higgins to shore up this landing spot for a quarterback
That'd be
next
nice.
year.
You can move Ridley to his natural position as the Z.
Yep, and that's actually exactly what I was thinking about. Cornerback, obviously it's thinning out a little bit, but
Still some quality. You could take Azariah Thomas here.
or Jacob Parrish later on.
Yeah,
I would
he's
take
nice.
Jacob Parrish in the second. I might take Jacob Parrish in the
Hey,
second.
I got my guys in. You get your guys in.
Titans trade up from the third into the second.
When they already are picking right now.
Well, they're not going to take Jacob Parrish here.
The devil works harder, but the devil works hard, but the Titans front office works harder.
They're going to take Jaden Higgins right here. And they'll
All
get
right.
Jacob Parrish later on, even though PFF won't let us do that, which I kind of wish they would.
I do. They won't. What do you mean?
I don't think it'll let us bring up a third. Maybe it will let us bring up a third rounder.
Should.
We'll see. Stay
We'll
tuned,
see,
folks. All right.
You got to say it at the end of the episode now.
Jaden Higgins.
All right, Jaden Higgins. I love that. Love this draft for the Titans so far, man. This is a great draft. You filled 2 needs with 2 fantastic players that are very high on my board. So love that draft. All right, Jags at 36. This is my pick. You picked for the Jags in the first one, but the stories changed a little bit.
I got him Tyler Warren. Yep.
Yeah, Tyler Warren went at 5, so that interior defensive line is still needing something, right? Let's see who are there. Yeah, you were thinking if you're going to take Warren, who's a defensive lineman available, you're probably a little upset Alfred Collins isn't still here. At least I would be. But again, I think I'm in the minority of guys who like him and who think that he could go in the first round or could deserve to. Let's see. If it's not interior defensive line, what would it be, though? Because you addressed receiver with Warren, so you're not going to do that.
I feel like it has to be defensive interior. Like
But the offensive interior is also pretty poor.
that's true, and value is starting to slip here.
Yeah, and you still got Donovan Jackson on the board. You still got Tyler Booker on the board. I mean, they're kind of a multiple team, right? So it's not like
They could pull it off. You know, I think. Oh,
They-
God, I want to love Booker, man.
okay. They ran 60% of their 60. They were 19th in zone block percentage in 2024. 60% of that was 70% of that zone blocking was inside zone, which I think Booker can do.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad fit. But interior defensive line I would prefer to take an interior defensive lineman, but who's here that you would want to take? I'm not a TJ Sanders guy. Darius Alexander and Tyleek Williams jump off the page. Too early for Caldwell. I mean, obviously for most people, but I like him more than most. Too early for Caldwell. Williams and Alexander. This is a tough pick. I probably wouldn't go with. Yeah, I think you kind of need a bigger guy to stop the run and really just muck things up, make it hard for teams to beat them down in the trenches because they got beat a lot in the trenches last year, and I think Tyleek Williams is really good for that. So I'm going to go with Tyleek Williams here to the Jags at 36.
You've got to get defensive interior if you're the Jags. I mean, they're heading into next year with Mason Smith, and who is their second defensive tackle?
Devon Hamilton. Mason Smith was surprisingly adequate until he got hurt. But that's the thing with him. He always gets hurt. In college, he got hurt. But for someone who is a true project, I was like, there is some competency there as far as like he really worked hard at developing a pass rush plan over the summer, clearly. But again, he got hurt, and can he stay on the field? Who knows? So Tyleek.
You can't really have too many defensive tackles either.
Yeah. And also, Mason Smith is a pass rusher, purely. You need a run stopper. Tyleek Williams fits that mold very well. You talk about the big three of run defense in this class. It's going to be Kenneth Grant, Alfred Collins, and Tyleek Williams.
All right, now we've got the Raiders at 37, passed on Genty to take Will Johnson at the top of the board.
I know you like somebody here.
Quinshawn Judkins.
Yep.
You're
going to do it? All right.
Do you disagree?
No, I don't. This is a good spot to take a running back. You got a good value. You got a really good player at a good position of need. It's 6, so now you get to be a little bit luxurious. Take a player so that your offense isn't unwatchable.
They really need to upgrade that room. I mean, you've got 32, 33-year-old Raheem Mostert coming off injury, I assume, or maybe just like couldn't get on the field last year. This is a team that wants to have a rushing-focused identity. Yeah, this feels like a pretty easy pick to me.
Team that runs a little bit more zone, but with Carroll, I think you could absolutely see, like Carroll likes to run quite a bit of. He likes to be multiple, and he likes to use multiple running backs to do that. So I could see Judkins filling the kind of Chris Carson role for them.
And I would like entertain a Caleb Johnson here as well.
Yeah.
Because Caleb Johnson, I think, makes great reads on zone concepts.
We both have Judkins higher, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right, Patriots at 38. We did not get a useless piece of shit at 4. We got Ted McMillan. It's a great pick. You need offensive line more than you need food at this point. So it's like you can't even consider not taking offensive line here. So who do you take? It's just you take the highest rated. But the problem is every tackle on your roster absolutely sucks at football. Like there's just the interior is not that bad. Cole Strange, Mike Onwenu are 2 solid guards, and Bradbury, whatever. You'd prefer like left tackle. You're starting Vidarian Lowe right now. So even though I'm probably not loving him here, I think it's got to be Josh Connerly. He's a relatively polished pass protector who has some concerns with overall just he's not the biggest guy, and it's just he's kind of a work in progress as far as the technique comes, but he's worked a lot at it. And I believe that he will get there. He's not the strongest guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a best anchor, but you'll just get what you can take at this point. He's a quality pass protector.
Now we've got the Bears. Who makes this pick? They're picking at 39.
Oh, yeah, because they had to give this up. Did they have to give this up to... Wait.
This is via Carolina, which is an even-number team.
No.
But you picked for the Bears, right? Yeah, you moved up for Genty.
I didn't move up for Genty. I think this was a trade that happened last. This is from the Caleb Williams trade.
Ah, okay.
Or the Bryce Young trade. This is from the Bryce Young trade. So technically, also the Caleb Williams trade, but...
So I make this pick then?
Yes, you make this pick.
All right, so...
Bears get to go at 39 and 41. Didn't know that.
We got them Michael Williams at the top of the board, which I like a lot.
Didn't get their running back, though.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Kind of pissed Judkins went.
Judkins would be a great fit.
Caleb Johnson would also be good here. So would Henderson. I
like Henderson better, but I feel like for this role, I like Caleb Johnson more.
Yeah, people say that Henderson is like, he's the Jahmyr Gibbs prototype. I mean, in the fact that he definitely needs a power rusher to be along with him to be an effective pro, yeah, but he's not Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is a different world of special that Henderson just probably will never touch.
I will say, I also don't view Travion Henderson as Jahmyr Gibbs, as in, like, he is a finesse-oriented rusher. I actually like Henderson's overall sort of ability to generate contact and be sort of an enforcer, but he's not a guy you run between the tackles repeatedly. He doesn't have the vision for it. He doesn't have the raw phone booth strength to fall forward for it, and that's not the way you want to use him based on his injury history. I like Caleb Johnson a lot. Like, there are people who are higher on Caleb Johnson than I am, but he's just going to be a really good high-volume running back. He's still young. Maybe he can add a little bit of creativity once he gets out of Iowa, because Iowa feels like the antithesis of creativity. I really like this. We'll go Caleb Johnson.
It's a lot less redundant with DeAndre Swift than Travion Henderson is.
40, the Saints.
40 with the Saints. Looked to trade up to get Shedeur. Missed out.
Here it is.
Yeah, this is it.
Milroe or Dart?
Well, I don't like Dart. I think this is it. Derek Carr having some shoulder issues apparently, so he might not play next season. But if we just hope that he does, then Milroe gets to sit. Or at worst, you can put him behind Rattler. You don't want to play him immediately.
That would be so fucking embarrassing to be sitting behind Spencer Rattler.
But you'd have to trade for a veteran.
Spencer Rattler is the veteran he's learning under.
You'd have to trade for a veteran to just save face. But yeah, I have a 2 through 3 on Milroe. This is good enough. And you just have no prospects for the future at quarterback. No, this team's going to suck a lot next year. So they might be in the play, might be in potentially picking a quarterback. But if Milroe is not your guy year one, I don't think this prohibits you from taking a quarterback in the next year. Like if you get pick 1, I don't think you're picking Milroe at pick 40. You're going to waste a second-round pick, but still going to get your franchise guy. So you'll take that versus what if you win 7 games? Then you're in a position you're not getting any of the quarterbacks next year. Well, we can still have Milroe. He gives you a nice insurance policy at quarterback, gives the QB whisperer Kellen Moore something to do in year one because he's not going to be doing much coaching otherwise because just not a good roster. You would love to build up this roster with more picks, but I feel like you do have to address quarterback. And obviously not a predictive mock draft, but it is said that the Saints will be coming out of day 1 or 2 with a quarterback. So I think this is a spot that makes quite a bit of sense.
All right, now I've got the Bears at 41, and there's a reason that I was kind of smirking there.
The Bears, didn't they just pick?
Yes, they did.
Oh, they got 2 picks. Oh. All right.
Do you have any idea why I'm smirking a little bit, what I'm thinking up here?
Caleb's a bust, Jackson Dart.
No. I was thinking they got Judkins. I was going to pick Henderson, but they got Caleb Johnson. It's not as fun. And it would be insane.
That would be sick. No, I would totally support that. I would
Travion
absolutely
Henderson
agree.
and Caleb Johnson?
I don't think I'm quite. No, because you need somebody has to run between the tackles with Ben Johnson, and I don't think Caleb Johnson's shown you can do that consistently enough year one.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, I think he's good. It's just to do that, it's quite a luxury pick.
Yes, but they have a sneaky, really, really good roster.
They
do,
what do
but
they
I
don't
need?
think that's the best compliment. Well, who did they pick? They picked Mikael Williams, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna this is your pick. You get to pick. I'm just I'm voicing a concern.
What does their safety room look like?
It's not. I would take they need corner. I would take Azaria Thomas here. This is a press system.
Why do you think they need to move on from Tyreek Stevenson, though?
I don't think they do. I just think that.
I mean, you get another guy in that room.
Yeah, I think you need another guy. I don't think he's I think he's a rotational guy. Similar molds. So I don't think you need to take him. You could take a linebacker, but there's no linebacker I want here. Maybe Chris Paul. I don't know how high you are on him. They could use some more interior depth as well.
Defensive interior?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. But who's
But
left?
if you want to take... I get it, though. It's just why did we pay DeAndre Swift all that money then?
Wait, did they pay him?
Last year.
I don't care about last year.
Okay,
I don't
all
want
right.
DeAndre Swift on this team. I'm surprised that they haven't actively gotten rid of him
He's
yet.
still a guy who can take snaps for you in the league.
I agree with that. Yes.
It just feels like picking at 39 and 41 is slightly redundant. If it was Judkins and Henderson, I'd be on it. But no,
I'm gonna look at
I
DeAndre
say
Swift's
do it.
contract real quick.
Quick, I think Mason Taylor would be fun here.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Komet is a blocking heavy tight end. You could play him at the F as he learns to block, and I think Ben Johnson would be able to use him well and get a lot out of him. He loves his tight ends, so I'll just throw that out there. But yeah, now that I look at this roster, the luxury pick is kind of the only pick you can make here. So Henderson makes a lot of sense. They don't have a great receiver on the roster from the running back position. Johnson loves running back receivers. Henderson makes sense.
So they have a potential out with DeAndre Swift with only $1.3 million of dead cap after this season.
All right. Get the fuck out of here. Useless piece of shit. If any NFL players are seeing this, we don't mean it, obviously.
I wonder if Bears fans would actually hate this.
I mean, all NFL players. If it's not Judkins and
care.
Henderson, I think they'd hate it, but I don't think you should care either.
I can't believe I just did that. This is so stupid.
Henderson of the Bears.
The offense, like, I don't care if Caleb is a bust. It's going to be an electric offense regardless. You're welcome, Bears fans.
Fun. All right, this is what we came here to do. All right, Jets at 42. What did they do in the first round? They took Mason Graham. Damn fine pick. What are we looking at? Well, you need a tackle. Well, you could use a right tackle. I don't think you need one. Cool. Okay. Definitely, I'm looking at receiver here. Because it's Garrett Wilson and who else? Like Alan Lazard.
I was talking to a Jets fan who was excited to see Alan Lazard with Devontae Adams gone. For the record, he was actually better with the Jets last year for most of last year than he was with the Packers, like, virtually ever, outside of that one fun midseason stretch he had when nobody knew his name.
There was that one game where he was on steroids this year, too.
There you go.
Malachi,
I would be less excited by Alan Lazard.
Malachi Corley looked like he never touched a football in his life this past year. Josh Reynolds
Forgot how to carry one.
exists, I guess. I would take Trey Harris or Ilikai Minor here. There's nobody at tackle I'd really consider. Ozzie Trapillo. Ozzie Trapillo is my next guy up. Donovan Jackson makes some sense, but I don't like him as a tackle. You don't need interior offensive line. Stop recommending us take Omar Norman Lott, Trevor.
It's not going to happen.
It's not
It
gonna
authentically would not happen until at least the fourth round for me.
No.
I hate him that much.
He's a true 5 for me. I just am not
He's got
there.
like severe injury issues that popped up at the
It's also
combine
just
as
like,
well.
yeah, you can be efficient on 200 snaps
Like comically low.
when nobody cares about you. Literally, half of his snaps were just he got a free rush because people weren't paying attention to him. Like, yeah, the stat. I love data analytics. I love stats. It's just you have to watch the tape to contextualize it. That's a great. It backs up that really well. Jackson Dart, book it. Run the card in Jackson Dart.
Easy.
No. Yeah, there's not a lot of needs, and I don't love drafting for need anyway. Who's the best player in your? Chris Paul would go really nice here. I'm not going to do it. They need a big thumper. I really wish Demetrius Knight was still here. He'd be great here. He'd be great everywhere. Could also. They absolutely. Whoa, they need corner. Badly. Brandon Stevens is starting for them.
Oh, yeah. I remember they like signed him for a good amount of money. That was a choice.
Oh, they should just take Azaria Thomas. There it is.
Wow, that was easy.
Bam. What were we even talking about? Azaria Thomas, put him in the press man system with Aaron Glenn. Easy.
All right, now the 49ers at 43. We got them an edge rusher in Shamar Stewart, right? Yep, because the Bears got Michael. You could go offensive line here. You could go defensive back here.
I don't love anybody on the offense. You could go interior. Donovan Jackson. Athletic.
Makes some sense. This is his range. I think Donovan Jackson is, from a predictive standpoint, going to go higher than people expect. I think the difference between him and a Tyler Booker is minuscule on most teams' boards.
And I don't love as much as the NFL seems to, but this is about where his range makes sense to me.
Is there anyone really obvious that I'm missing? I mean, Kevin Winston's sitting there at 29. I like Kevin Winston, but like
double up on edge, go James Pierce. Yeah.
I'd go Braden Swinson if that was the case.
Yeah, that's true. That would be a better pick. could talk me into wide receiver, I guess, because who knows if Brandon Ayuk's on the roster come September.
Are there serious trade talks with him?
Yeah, I mean, supposedly they're going to trade him.
Who's sitting there at wide receiver?
There's quite a few guys.
I mean, I love me some Jalen Noel. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Much different skill set. I mean,
Elick.
he's not Ricky Pearsall.
Elick, also there. Your guy, Jack Besh.
I do love me some Jack Bash. He's not redundant with Jennings, but there are similarities in how they play.
Yeah, I mean, you've got...
You don't want the offense to be that unexplosive minus Brandon Ayuk.
Noel would be a good fit with Pearsall and Jennings on the outside. Or, well, Pearsall's probably the slot, though, so which one of them plays on the outside, Noel or Pearsall? You don't really love either of them.
Yeah, we're going to play it simple and go down to Jackson.
Right,
they got to keep building through the trenches.
Yeah, good pick, and I think I'm also going to play it pretty simple with this next pick, and I'm going to go Tyler Booker to the Cowboys. Little converse spot for him, and it just makes sense. They run quite a bit of gap. He'll, I mean...
Victor, do you realize what you just did on their offensive line?
Did I double up?
No.
No, I put him next to Cooper Beebe. Yeah, that was on purpose.
Yeah, but list their starters from left to right.
What did I do? Let's see. I got to go to the depth. Well, I can do this from memory. Tyler Guyton. No way. Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith.
There it is.
Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, Terrence Steele. 4 T's, 3 Tylers. Absolutely, I'm making this pick. What? That's awesome. Fuck yeah. All right. So you trade up to Genty with the intention of taking Booker in the second round, shore up that interior, make sure you've got something there. That is a wide bar. That is a wide bar on the monitor.
Yes, it is. We've seen actually a couple of those so far.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for you.
This has been a good episode. I'll be fine. But Booker at 44 just makes a lot of sense. Just solidify that last remaining position that you don't feel great about it. Brock Hoffman, I believe, is starting at right guard for them. You throw Booker there. Yeah.
All right, now we got the Indianapolis Colts. I got to stop saying all right so much, but it's such a natural segue.
It's very nice.
Got to look at the Colts depth chart. We got him Jihad Campbell.
They didn't take a tight end. Mason Taylor's on the board.
He is.
There's nobody else I actually have even close to a second-round grade on.
That Mason Taylor range is really starting up.
Yeah. He's just... I don't know. I have a 2 on him. I don't feel good about it.
Like, you think it should be higher or lower?
No, I feel like it should be lower, but I just can't... My brain tells me, yeah, this is everything I know about this player. He's a 2. I just feel like... I don't know. I feel bad. I don't know if he's going to... I have a good feeling about him.
It feels like there's a big push to make sort of this second class of tight ends with Arroyo and T. Ferg and Mason Taylor to really like slot them 1 tier down from Warren and Loveland, when in reality they're closer to 2 tiers down.
3. I have a true 2 on Taylor, and then after that, Arroyo, Helm, T. Ferg, and Fannin are all 3 through 4s. I'm really not an Arroyo guy.
You know what would be like a major luxury pick is the Chris Paul here. Start.
Double up on linebackers.
Oh, we picked Jihad Campbell.
Oh, yeah, no.
Freaking that would wow.
If there was a team to do it, it would be the Colts or the Bucks.
Oh, they brought in Cam Bynum to play safety for him.
James Pierce has not gone yet. Would you? Well, they took a lot too.
Yeah.
Would he? He'll come into play soon, I think.
Yeah, and to be clear, like his range is very much started right now, but I do have a 2 to a 3.
They could use. I mean, I don't think you love Tanner Bortolini and Matt. Oh, Bortolini looks solid, but you definitely don't love Matt Gonsalves.
I believe, who's a tackle that I guess they're projecting to kick in.
He did not play much last year either, so it's just a pure projection. But the fact that they haven't done anything about it in free agency makes them think, well, but they're probably going to do something about it in the draft if they don't like it. So guard could make some sense here. A little bit of a run on guards here. DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart aren't going to be around here forever. You could use an interior defensive lineman, maybe a developmental guy. Trevor would pick Armar Norman Lott here.
Obviously.
And they definitely need another corner.
Corner is what I really have my eye on.
Your guy.
Who's my guy here, Trey Amos?
Jacob Parrish.
Amos
would be a solid pick.
I really like that. It's close between Amos and Parrish. I think Parrish is really raw in zone coverage.
They run a lot of zone.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think
I would
Amos
rather.
is a worse zone corner than people give him credit.
But people think he's like the best zone corner in the class.
And I have no idea why people have typecast him into that role. When you look at it, there's a lot of misses on his zone tape. There's a lot of them.
Well, you see the highlight reel plays.
There it is. He's got some fun highlight reel plays where he sees something, but there are a lot of times where he just loses guys behind him, or he's way too slow to come out of his stance and read the quarterback. It happens a lot. He loses guys behind him. It's almost a problem how much that happened. Like, if team plays cover 2, he's going to let the whole shot go 3 or 4 times in his first game. It's just going to happen unless you fix it.
So you're saying he's outstanding value at pick 45 and not in the first round.
I mean, I don't think I have a 2 through 3 on him.
All right, Trey Amos it is. It's okay value.
It's
we'll
solid
take
value.
that because
Yeah,
they're a hard team to draft for, honestly.
That's solid. And I don't know if there's a guard you love here.
And Gonsalves did actually play a little bit of tackle for them when they had some injuries. And, I'm not going to pretend that I was keying in on Matt Gonsalves' tape, but he graded out well.
Yeah. So, I mean,
He was some people's sleeper as well. I heard some good things about him last year.
He went in the 3rd round, too. He went in day 2.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very weird. I think he was a comp pick, though.
Oh, okay.
He was late.
I didn't know he went that high. Interesting.
Amos at 45. Falcons up at 46 for me. We addressed edge with them, correct?
Mike Green, yeah.
Mike Green. Do you double up?
You could.
You take 2?
Oh, no.
Do you take 2 finesse rushers who are undersized and have off-the-field concerns in the same draft?
You're playing with fire, man.
No, I don't think you do that. I think
funny,
you have to address corner at some point. AJ Terrells can't be the only guy in that room. Definitely can't start D. Alford at nickel. Who do I love? I think Kevin Winston would be nice here. I could see that. Revel range has started for me. He's a 2 through 3. Parrish makes some sense here. A little early. This is early for Kobe Bryant, but I'm a big Kobe Bryant guy.
This is very early for Kobe Bryant, but it's what we would do.
It's very early for Kobe Bryant, but I mean, I'd take him in the top of the 3rd if the right team comes along. I think. Ooh. Gonna have a lot of dead air on the end of this. Man. Ooh, their center. They don't have a center.
Oh, yeah, because they lost Dahlman.
Left. Yeah. Take a center. You also take a receiver. Why is Drake London listed as their slot? I mean, I guess he plays some big slot, but I'm torn. I'm thinking Kevin Winston. Because okay. So the 2 centers I have on my board though are both zone blockers. And the Falcons, correct me if I'm wrong, don't run a lot of that.
I thought they ran quite a bit. Well, no, they ran a lot of 11, but they did some moderately creative stuff out of it. I thought they ran a healthy dosage of zone.
Oh, never mind. They ran the 2nd most of the entire league. I must be mixing players up then. Huh. Very strange. Anyway, oh wait, no. Never mind.
I thought, weren't they relatively high up in zone?
Yeah.
They certainly are not a gap-heavy team.
I was realizing I was looking at a wrong article. So all the numbers I've said are wrong.
Whatever. The sentiment is correct.
Well, it's also we know how much these teams. We're just trying to get a gauge of where they rank in the rest of them, and so it's we're not idiots. We're picking. Yeah. But it's I don't know if they run enough gap for me that I would be scared to take Marcus and Bo here.
And I also just don't love the value behind him, Bo. I don't hate it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
a
think
little
it's a fine
early.
pick.
Eli Ayamanor is not going to do much that Drake London doesn't already do for you.
Is Eman Wari not still sitting here?
He is, but this is about where I have him. That's what I'm torn on. I was Winston or Eman Wari. So,
Who you could make a point out of this.
Is it a point though?
Yeah, it's becoming less of a point, but I still view it as a point. People expect Eman Wari to go solidly in the first.
I'll make a point out of it then. I think Kevin Winston's the better player. I think they'll take him.
All right. Now I have the Cardinals, and what's really sticking out like a sore thumb is the interior offensive line, Tate Ratledge here.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. This is a team that they love. We talked about this. They love the gap runs. So you go out there, first round, you take Luther Burden, you take Tate Ratledge in the second round. We said this was going to happen, and it does.
Don't you just love it when things come together?
I know. It's so great.
All right, Dolphins, pick E-Man Worry, please.
Well, they need corner.
That's fair.
Savone Revel's here, and people also expect him to go high. So, and this is about, I have similar grades on them. Would make some sense. I'm going to go Jackson Dart. Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel. Get your backup quarterback.
Get your guy.
There it is. No, yeah, I think you go Nick Emanwari here. He fills a couple of needs. He can be, he fills your linebacker too and your strong safety. So,
but only half of both.
Yeah, at best. He's just such a raw player that it's hard for me to get behind that in the first round. I just saw nothing that made me confident he was going to be a good pro. When I saw the combine numbers and I saw the highlights, I was like, yeah, I get first round hype. But then I watched the whole tape and it's just like, man, I just didn't see anything that made me think this is an NFL football player. There's some guys that you watch and 5 minutes in, that is an NFL pro. That is a professional football player. And when you're watching Eman War, you don't get that sense. But at 48, betting on those tools is absolutely something you're willing to do.
And I like his tackling at least.
Even then, though, he would, like, his missed tackle percentage is solid, but he kind of just, he's hugging he's hugging the runner. He just lets them into his chest and lets them bowl over him for a couple more yards.
And that's kind of the name of the game with Eman Worry is,
but you're big. Hit him.
All of the upside is there. And he just doesn't play up to it on the field all the time. And that's why interviews are so valuable, because you want to find out why that is. Like, yeah. Has he just not been taught to play the position? Because there are instinctive moments, but, you know, the more you talk me into it, like, he really is a projection. He does not have a clearly outlined role either, but that really is more of like a mid-day 2 player than a guy you're taking with the 25th overall pick, the 20th overall pick.
So I like him here. It's just I'm making the case against him in the first round. Also, I love Anthony Weaver. I think he's a fantastic defensive coordinator. He loves to move pieces around. He's going to be able to figure out a spot for Eman Worry in the first year and be able to bring him up to speed. Bengals at 49. I think this was the team we said, hey, you take Malachi Starks, you take Tate Ratledge in the second round. Tate Ratledge is gone. What do you do now? Willie Lampkin. Perfect gap guard.
Who's here? Because
Ariante Ursary? Do you want to slide him into guard maybe?
Possibly.
Or you just throw him at tackle. I mean, because he's not dissimilar from Orlando Brown coming out. Similar, nimble. Orlando Brown was more laterally gifted, but
I'm looking at their defense, and honestly, like, they could use another cornerback.
Yeah, I mean, because you brought in the Notre Dame corner. They brought in the Notre Dame defensive coordinator who ran almost exclusively press man, and you have a bunch of 5'9", 175 guys at the cornerback position.
I think we're gonna add a 5'10" guy in Jacob Parrish.
But who can play press coverage though?
Who can play press coverage?
There's another smaller guy that played press coverage in Notre Dame that was pretty good at it.
Who's that?
Ben Morrison.
There you go.
He would have loved Ben Morrison. I considered telling you about it at 17, but Malachi Starks was a better pick than Morrison. All right, so it's Parrish.
Yes, it is.
Good pick, guy. Just you talked about him and you're my guy. He was your guy. He's just a nasty press corner. Could have also gone Noel Williams. Shocked some people in the second round.
That would be a shocker.
This is already a big shock, though. Trevor has him almost identical on his board.
Yeah. Well, that's not a good sign.
So the Seahawks have a chance to make their draft just truly elite here if they can land, because they got a great pick in Gray Zabel at 50. Who are they taking? Or at 18? Who are they taking at 50?
Mbo. Jared Wilson.
Makes quite a bit of sense. Again, a team that likes to run zone.
All right. Hear me out. So you know how the interior offensive line is like a big issue?
Yeah.
They pick again at 52.
They do? Oh, yeah, they do.
You have an opportunity to just replace the entire offensive interior, which would be fucking hilarious.
That would be good. Surely there's a guy who's not a useless piece of shit in that interior, right? Okay, I say give Oluwatimi another year.
It is a great name.
And I really liked him. And yeah, he went in the 5th round and he hasn't been great for 2 years. But still, there's enough. Oh wow, this entire interior just sucks at
Yeah,
football, dog.
it's
What?
really rough.
This team
I
sucks.
can't believe they didn't do anything in free agency with that.
I'm considering that. Ooh, I gotta go Trey Harris here. He's a plug and player in the DK Metcalf role.
Except he'll actually go up and get the ball.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a guy who he had like a 50 something contested catch percentage.
Okay.
Or no, his contested catch percentage was low, though I thought it was going to be high when I watched him.
It wasn't low. It was like 48%, which if you're
So
doing
that's
that
good.
in the NFL is good. It's just that there are guys in college who can hit 60, 65 if you're really elite. He can absolutely win the ball.
But
at
it's
the catch
also
point.
rare.
Yeah, extremely.
He was very productive at Ole Miss in very few games. I mean, I think he had more yards than Matthew Golden did in the season. He played like 6 less games.
Now, to be fair, like 400 of those and 5 touchdowns were against Elkhorn State. But I think that, like, I really like Trey Harris, not in terms of his projection, but in terms of the way that he operates. There's a certain ruggedness about him, and it's like, if you're going up against a bad opponent, he's not going to make a show of it, but you know exactly what you're getting. He's just going to play up to his ability every single snap, needs to be coached up, and I think he's got a lower floor than I'm comfortable with, if you're taking him in the first round. But in the second, that's right around where I have him.
I think he's a good athlete. He's big. He's good at catching the football. Obviously, the route running is pretty. He wasn't asked to do a lot of route running. It was just run forward or run forward and then turn around.
It was somehow worse last year.
Yeah, but again, some of it. I do think there's something there as a route runner over the middle of the field. I think
he progressed. He got better.
Yeah. So I don't think it's like we're limiting him to that in the league. But even if you did, it's not like he's going to do much different than DK Metcalf, except be a slightly worse athlete, but be able to haul down the ball better. So is this a lateral move, picking Trey Harris at 50 and trading away DK Metcalf?
Yes.
Because you picked him 2 picks earlier than the pick you got for DK Metcalf.
He is literally DK Metcalf. And in the second round, you'll take that.
Absolutely.
That's very okay value.
He fits in the role very well. They absolutely need that role. They need a big-bodied guy on the outside. Trey Harris makes a lot of sense. At 50, you're up with the Broncos at 51.
Oh, man. What do I do with the Broncos here? I'm looking at their depth chart right now.
This is a good team. They don't have a lot. They just need talent, not necessarily depth. They just need a lot of talent, like really good players. Receiver. You could use a guy who can just get open. There are a lot of guys who just don't get open on that team. They could use a center. Wattenberg's fine. And they also really need a guy who can like actually provide some force at the point of attack in the edge room. Because Cooper and Benito are both very solid finesse rushers, but they just were not moving the pocket against bigger, stronger offensive tackles. And it was a big issue in the Buffalo game.
I think my PFF mock draft simulator just died. It's stuck on the loading screen.
We still
it
got
can
mine.
never get through a full mock draft.
No.
Who do we have available at wide receiver and edge rusher?
Okay, so wide receiver, Elikai Minor, again, not a guy that, is really going to separate an elite level, but catch football well. He's not dissimilar from Cortland Sutton. My official, Jaden Higgins is the guy I think is Cortland Sutton, almost to a T. Jack Bash, another guy who's not going to separate at
that's
good
not
level. Jalen Royals, it's too rich for my blood. You're a Jalen Noel guy. He can separate.
I feel like he's fairly Marvin Mims-esque.
Yeah.
Like he's very Marvin Mims-esque.
Marvin Mims is good after the catch.
Fair point.
I think he can get there. Early,
he does return punts, though.
Early, but not out of the question for hometown kid Torrey Horton.
I love me some Torrey Horton. I really, really love me some Torrey Horton. I think he's the most underrated receiver in this draft class.
Minor would probably be the guy I would go with receiver here. Center. I think that they could do something with Mbo, but I don't think Sean Payton's really gonna want a guy that's small like Mbo or Wilson.
Who's there at edge?
Oh yes, edge. Well, you got your guys Skirton, James Pierce, Landon Jackson, Braden Swinson would be nice. JT Tuimaleo, Princey Monmielen, Josiah Stewart, Kyle Kennard, Jared Ivey, Oluwafemi Oladejo.
Man, I kind of like Braden Swinson here.
Oh, yeah? It's a good pick.
Let's do it.
All right, Braden Swinson. Let's get another finesse rusher. This is a guy who can move the pocket. He's got a really great speed to power profile. So take another edge. This is a nasty edge room. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis, 3rd-round pick last year out of Utah. Really good rookie year. I think 6.5 sacks or something. It looked great doing it. Now you add Braden Swinson. It's just scary.
Oh God, they do have Jonah Ellis.
But again,
should have looked at their freaking depth chart. But then I don't know if that
It's still
really
a good
dissuades
pick.
me because
It
the
doesn't.
Broncos do not have a ton of needs, and I don't love any of the wide receiver fits.
Also, Vince Joseph, he's similar. We got to remember, this is a team that Vic Fangio coached not 3 years ago. They love to rotate edge rushers.
You think you can find a spot for him?
Yeah.
I would hope so.
I think they ran out 5 edge rushers every game last year. Like, this is a team that will utilize Braden Swinson, and he's probably got the best power profile on the team day one.
All right, you don't hate that.
No. So, Steelers, or not the Steelers, Seahawks at 52. They passed up on interior. I think they'll take one here. Jared Wilson or Mark Simbo. I'll ask my, I know who I'd like here, who I prefer, but I'll ask my assistant GM if he has any objection to me going Mbo over Wilson.
No, I really want to like Jared Wilson, and I just can't quite get there. He does one thing really well, which is the zone blocking. And when I watch his tape, I see kind of not a ton of other redeeming qualities. I think Georgia's system.
A poor run blocker, period.
He's got some Armand Membu to him, where he's a. Okay, I actually think he's a better zone blocker than Membu is.
I think
really,
Armand
really
Membu can
Membu's
generate
tape.
at 1 Newton of force at the point of attack.
It's
Jared
really ugly to watch Jared Wilson try and play with any power at all.
Yeah.
Which he's not that small, is he?
He's like 6'3", 310, but his arms are 32 and a fourth. I want to say.
I have that on my spreadsheet, but now everything is all right. Let's see what his measurables are. He is 6'3", 310, 32 and 3/8 arms, and 10 and 3/4 inch hands, which you do not see at all on tape. Like, he's really effective at, well, he's even got polishing to do there. He can get in guys' way in zone. He has so much coaching up to do. I'm glad someone else looks at Jared Wilson and doesn't see a player who's particularly outstanding at everything, because you look at his stats on PFF, and he should be really exceptional, and he just isn't. Like, in pass pro, he cannot hold up one-on-one at all. There's some really ugly reps that I saw. Honestly, you've talked me into Mbo head and shoulders over Jared Wilson at this point.
I think he's a fine pass protector. I think when he gets the hands in, he's got some really good anchor for his sides. Like, if he can just set the feet and get a nice base, he can do that. And his athleticism helps a lot in pass pro. He knows enough of what he's doing. Like, I could throw him out there day one and not be... I would be okay with his pass protection as a center, NFL center, but I just can't. He's not a good enough run blocker to play.
And the center position gets kind of a low bar for pass protection as well.
Because you get help, and he's a guy who will need help because the bigger NFL size is going to brutalize him. So, not something you're feeling great about, but whereas Mbo is a technically a pretty good technical center, or he played tackle and guard at Purdue. He's done a lot, but he's just as good of an athlete, maybe even better, and at the point of attack, this guy knows how to convert speed in his body to his hands and just jolt guys. Now, after that initial speed to power conversion, there's not much. But when you're getting help from a guard and a combo block, that'll be enough, that point of attack, and let the guard take over with a little bit of the drive. You got Zabel now. Zabel's really good at driving guys backwards. Where he's kind of lacks that elite pop, so you kind of pair those guys together, and we've got fire and ice. He's a really smart player, a great leader at Purdue, good hands, probably some work to do, but you're not drafting a guy in the second round who has no work to do, right? So this is a good pick for the Seahawks at 52.
Getting 2 new starters in that interior offensive line room, you like that a lot. Now we have the Buccaneers at 53, and it's time. James Pierce Jr. is still sitting on the board, right?
It's a fantastic pick, yeah.
A+.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that talent is really great, but again, the off the field, first of all, we both think that he's as far talent-wise, I haven't 1 through 2, but the off-the-field issues seem really prevalent, and teams seem scared to death of him, so.
And it's work ethic stuff as well, and he has work to do.
Yeah, not going to fly. All right, Pack at 54. You get to pick for the Broncos. I'll pick for the Packs. Mail London. Book it next.
Easy.
Can't believe he's still here.
Need another body in the linebacker room.
Who did we pick for them? They went up and got Matthew Golden. They did something.
So now you're looking at defense, I have to imagine.
Yeah, gotta go there. And I didn't have too many. There was just wide receiver for Packers offensive needs, so it's just defense.
Oh my God, this could be Savone Rebel. And it actually wouldn't be terrible.
And it makes a lot of sense because you need corner. I'd probably take. I'm also not a big Porter guy. So I'd probably take. Savone Rebel's my highest remaining corner. And if we're looking. I like Chris Paul a lot, but I don't think he's doing much that Edgerrin Cooper doesn't already do for you. And
Quay Walker can play. Like, I don't think he'll
Yeah.
get a second contract, but you're happy with. Well, you're not happy, but he can play.
I'd love another defensive lineman. Darius Alexander makes some sense here.
He does. Yep, that's a good point.
I think I'm going to go Savone Rebel, but in the second round, so it's digestible. This is just a guy who's got a really high ceiling. I don't like him as much as most people do because people say, "Oh man, this is like elite tape." What tape were you watching? It just looked like he didn't have much of an idea. I mean, he looked solid, but he was always his eyes were never eyes were on the quarterback to a fault. Like he could never just find a guy behind him and stick with him. He was not very sticky at all. Hips are kind of stiff, and then you go to the fact that he was kind of getting outclassed by. Sometimes he got outclassed by receivers in the American Conference, and he's coming off of an ACL tear. Second round is good value, but if he goes in the first, that will be a low grade for me come draft grades time next week.
Now, I do remember that they like to use him in a lot of pretty deep off coverage.
Yeah, he was good at it 'cause he's
There were
fast.
some nice click and close instincts, but that's not enough to win at the NFL level.
I mean,
Needs another step up.
He's an elite linear athlete for any metric, and you don't even take into account that he's 6'3", 200. He is an elite linear athlete. It's there. It's just you got to recognize what's going on in front of you.
Now we have the Chargers.
Yes.
Who is left on the defensive line?
Ooh,
Because,
we've taken a lot of defensive linemen.
man, I don't know where else you would
Darius
look
Alexander makes some sense. Tier Tart's already. You got Tier Tart. He can play nose for you. TJ Sanders, a lot of people like. Jordan, probably high for Jordan Phillips or Jamari Caldwell.
here. I'd agree.
CJ West is there. You could appease Trevor and take Omar Norman Lott.
What about Edge?
Nick Skirton, Landon Jackson, a couple of big guys.
I like Scorton quite a bit.
Oluwafemi Oladejo, Josiah Stewart, Michigan guy.
I'm
just saying.
Third round.
Why is he third round? Why can he not be a quality starter for you, and that is enough for a second round pick?
I like his pass rushing. I wish he was approaching Mike Green levels of proficiency because I'm even a little bit lower on Mike Green's technique. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Josiah Stewart can do a lot of nice things for you as a pass rusher, but he plays a little wild and out of control.
This is true.
And a size
Who knows
outlier
how to get
like
the best
him.
out of him more than Jim Harbaugh, though?
Oh,
Come on, we got just two Michigan guys to the Chargers. How fun? No, I get it.
do it.
But
Do
we
it,
got the big
Victor.
guy. Okay, Josiah Stewart to the Chargers at 55. I've
This is
successful.
an unserious mock draft.
Well, it's the 55th pick. Everything. If we did a serious mock draft, that would not be close to what the NFL draft actually resembles.
Fair.
Also, we are not serious people, so this is not a serious. This is a serious podcast and a very unserious podcast. Josiah Stewart, the Chargers at 55. I think it's good value. Not necessarily great value, but I think it's fine, and it's a good pick. He goes somewhere he's comfortable, familiar, a system he knows. They need edge rusher. It's a good scheme fit for him. Him and Tui Pelotu, I don't know if they'll be very efficient or productive. They'll be must-see TV, though.
There you go.
Two guys just going absolutely insane trying to get to the quarterback. That's fun to watch.
There's going to be so much laying on the ground. I love it.
Man. All right. Buffalo at 56 via Minnesota at some point in the past. I don't know when that happened, but they have their second-round pick, apparently. So, Buffalo, that is me at 56. So, we got Alfred Collins for them. Who I like Elikai Minor here a lot. Because he's a bigger guy, but he does something completely different than Keon Coleman. He's more of the craftier, bigger guy that works underneath. Kind of, he can play the big slot, but he can catch the football. He's just a really reliable guy that he's not going to drop the football in the AFC Conference Championship game. Any objections to Minor?
I'm not going to object. I actually liked his route running quite a bit.
So did I.
God, he runs almost comically high-waisted at times, and I wonder how he's going to transition against NFL physicality. But I thought he had some really nice moments of fighting off contact. He will win at the catch point. I don't think his hands outside his frame are the most natural.
That's
But
fair. But you got Keon Coleman.
well, there you go.
Like, you don't need Keon Coleman. If you throw it to him in or it's out of his catch radius, Keon Coleman gets that.
He'll just go and get it from across the field.
Exactly.
Just straight up catching rebounds.
I mean, he'll
out
drop
there.
it, but
And the fact is,
Get a
this is
hand
the
on it.
second round.
yeah,
You don't need perfect players at this point. There aren't any perfect players at
He's a
this point. So
contributor.
no, I am not going to object to Alec Manor.
all right. Alec Manor, is that the correct pronunciation?
Okay. So announcers are split two ways. I'll have to check the beast, Dane Brugler's draft guide. I hear it as both Io Manor and Io Manor, so that's whichever you feel like, I think.
All right. Panthers up at 57 took Jalen Walker in the first round. I assume this is another defenseman.
Is Cesario Thomas still here?
No, he
Ooh.
went early.
Oh,
42 to the Jets.
who's left?
At corner,
Yeah.
Darian Porter.
Ugh. Yeah.
He's not awful.
No, he's not. And he's
You're-
got upside. Like it. Oh, it's all. Well, there's shades
He's
of
a
Xavier
quality
Legette there as
player.
well.
Shades of Slavier to get.
Like you see what I'm saying,
I
right?
do. I know
Yeah.
what you're saying. Billy Bowman, Xavier Watts, safeties on the board. Makuba, some people like him.
You know, I do like Xavier Watts, but they just brought in Trayvon Merrick to play a different role. Well, Damani Richardson is not great at free safety, so Xavier Watts does fill a need.
Darius Alexander next to Derek Brown would be nice. He's kind of that Milton Williams mold.
Oh, that's true, but they just went out and paid Tershawn Wharton and Bobby Brown, and Tershawn Wharton can do some of that.
Yeah, but Tershawn Wharton's not going to factor into your stuff long term, though.
What contract did they bring him in on? They paid him a lot of cash.
Yeah, 3 years, $45 million, but they're not going to pay him that in his third year. He's what, 29?
Oh man, am I about to take Darian Porter here? Who's their second corner?
It's
Mike
a
Jackson.
fine pick. It could work out, and it doesn't usually work out. But if there's anybody that might work out with Porter, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, let's do it. At worst, you're getting 2 blocked field goals out of him a year.
There you go. Plus, fun to look at. Like just watch
you
play
go.
play football. 4'3" at 6'4", 200 is supernatural.
I spend a ton of time looking at Darian Porter.
That's why we watch the Underwear Olympics. All right, on to 58. Texans at 58 took offensive line is absolutely still in play here. They got Simmons at 25. Great pass protector.
How many spots did they need to fill in the OL?
5.
That's not true. It's like 3.5.
No, it is 3.5. Yeah. Cam Robinson is an adequate 1-year guy.
Band-Aid.
He will do the job. So you have him at left tackle, and assuming Josh Simmons clears, you probably move Cam Robinson to right tackle. You throw Josh Simmons at left tackle, in my opinion. Titus Howard is a quality left guard. Jarrett Patterson and Juice Scruggs,
Our players.
they're players. I still like Juice Scruggs. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if I'm going to bet on him at this point. He's also, didn't he play center for a while?
Oh, yeah, I think
He
they
came
did
out
kick
as a
him
center.
in.
So you kick him back into center and you draft a guard here is probably what I would do. Which guard? I think it'd have to be Savianea.
Oh, I like that a lot. I don't mind the value behind that.
I think you kind of revamp this offensive line. Like what goes from a absolute weakness, you get 2 pro-ready guys. And, well, Josh Simmons has some work to do, especially as a run blocker. But Savianea has some work to do as a run blocker, but is a great pass protector. It's mission protect
Better than
CJ
what they
Stroud.
have.
Protect CJ Stroud right now. You get Titus Howard. Titus Howard and Juice Scruggs can block one guy, and that'll be all you get in the run blocking game. But now you got Cam Robinson on the right side, Josh Simmons on the left side, Titus Howard left guard, Juice Scruggs at center, and Savianea at right guard. You feel really good about that. I mean, obviously it could be better, but it could be a lot worse, and it's worse a lot. It's really bad right now. You could also consider receiver here, but Savianea you can make an argument he should go 10 picks earlier than this. He's just a really good player. All right, Ravens up at 59.
Read me the remaining wide receivers, because Trey Harris is
not many.
gone. Io Manor's gone.
Jack Besh, Jalen Royals, Kyle Williams, Savion Williams.
As much as I would
Jalen
like to take
Noel.
Savion Williams here, I don't think I can do that. That would be kind of malpractice.
Noel Horton. No, I wouldn't take the Arkansas guy this early. I like
Which
Andrew.
one?
There's two.
Tesla and Armstrong.
Oh yes. No, I was gonna say I wouldn't take Tesla this early. I'd consider Armstrong this early.
Fuck yeah.
I
That's
know
not what
it's
I'm going to do,
I
but
know it's really early. Where is he on the consensus board? Because I just watched him and he was like, I came away with a true or 3 through 4 on him.
probably not even on the board because Trevor's a joke.
Oh, he is at 220 on the PFF board, but I know people are higher on him than that. Trevor, we love you, buddy, but what's going on, man?
Who are the cornerbacks?
He's 197 on consensus? I thought he was like a consensus day, early
No,
day
he
3 kind
only
of guy.
popped up recently. Did he even get a combine invite? I would have that on my
Jesus
sheet.
Christ. No, I mean, I had
He's
him
a
as,
sleeper.
had him as a true 3 or 3 through 4. I can't remember right now, but he's just a really good player, Elijah Badger.
He's becoming one of the people's sleepers, like Elijah Badger.
Torrey Horton.
Chim DK.
There you go.
Cornerbacks. Anybody left?
Besh is nice. Corners. Well, you already took an edge. You don't really need Dorian Strong, Noel Williams, Kobe Bryant. It's still early for Kobe Bryant for me.
What about Dorian Strong?
I didn't get to him.
Oh, I like his press
Any
technique.
safeties?
He's a pretty solid athlete.
Watts is still here. Though, Ravens, if you can't tackle, you're not going to be a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, and Xavier Watts, that is not a strength of his game. Some of the enthusiasm's there, but the size and technique is not.
Who did they take in the first round? They took Ezaraku. You
Yep.
could still use an interior guy, I guess.
Yeah, but who's
But
there?
There's nobody left.
Yeah.
Skirton, you can move him in.
Is Scorton still sitting around here?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He's a nice kind of inside-outside
Oh,
flexibility.
God. Do it.
It's a nice draft. Skirton and Ezaraku. All right. Lions up at 60.
They have 5 edge number 2s, edge number 3s.
They have so many edges, but he probably plays 5-tech for them here.
Yes, in this universe he does.
Lions took Kenneth Grant, so I'd like a guard here. Is there anybody left is the question. Ursery?
That's good value for Ursery here.
For me, it's actually kind of reaching, but I don't think that they'd like Trapillo.
And it's a little early for him.
I have a true 2 on him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I thought I liked him.
No, well, is it a 2 through 3 or a true 2? It's hard to remember. Oh, no, it's a true 3. My fault. Yeah, I thought that was a little high. I was bordering on 2 through 3. So, yeah, it's slightly early, but I still would be fine with it. Wyatt Milam makes some sense, but Ursery is probably your guy. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. You can't be a Detroit Lions football player if you can't tackle, so this is not a Xavier Watts spot. This is a Jack Besh spot.
Okay. I kind of love that.
He can be your sacrificial X. Be really good at that.
Or it can be a big slot for you.
Yeah. Though you got Amon-Ra. But Amon-Ra's inside out. You throw him on the outside, throw Jack Besh on the inside.
Honestly, you add a little bit more unpredictability to the offense.
It's also like
Besh is slow.
You'd be asking him to beat press a lot, and I just didn't see that.
He can outmuscle guys. Yeah, I think he's a big slot in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's probably not what you're looking for here. So, where do you go? It's kind of a tough spot. What do I have on the they have very little needs. Oh, they could use another edge. Help out.
They could use more defensive line depth.
Skirton was so close.
Fucking damn it.
Skirton would have been a great fit here.
Would have been perfect.
Yeah, probably Landon Jackson. Gillett makes some sense here. Sawyer makes some sense. Olufemi, yeah, probably not. Yeah, I'm gonna go Landon Jackson. They like the big freaks who can do that kind of stuff. He'll be a good complement to Aiden. It'll be really helpful for him to have such a game wrecker like Aiden Hutchinson
definitely.
on the other side.
Yep, one-on-one opportunities.
Yeah, it just helps him work on one-on-ones early on, so he's not getting too much focus. I mean, we've got Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson to focus on. You're not really caring about Landon Jackson.
Commanders, they took Maxwell Hairston
This
the first
is a
time.
sneaky running back spot for the 6th one.
Yeah.
The run to start. They still need a lot, though.
Ooh, I see a luxury pick that I really like, which would be Chris Paul.
Mason Taylor still isn't gone. Chris Paul is a good pick. Mason Taylor still hasn't gone. They need tight end.
Oh, that's true, and he'll learn under Zach Ertz for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, write that in.
But the Chris Paul pick is not okay.
We can find a better spot for Chris Paul
maybe
in the imaginary third round, or maybe he closes it out.
So what are we doing here?
Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor. All right. Yeah, it's a great fit. Just learn under Zach Ertz. Because they like to run a lot of, with Jaden Daniels, spread is their friend. So, plus LSU connection. They played together. Didn't even realize.
Wow, I didn't think of that at all. I only remember watching him throw to Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be excited. All right, Buffalo on the clock. Did not draft a receiver. Instead, traded back and took Alfred Collins. Wait, no, I feel like we did. Yeah, they had a pick. Elick Ayaminor. Elick. They picked Elick at 56.
Elick A.
They have 2 second-round picks. All right, well, this is a nice spot. Today feels like a good day to draft Chris Paul to the Buffalo Bills.
It sure does.
I mean, Matt Milano's going to have to retire at some point, and you just immediately put Chris Paul there for, like, kind of the same role for the next 8 years. If he works out, yeah, that's about the player he's going to be. Probably diet because he's not the athlete that Milano is, but close enough to the point where I'm like, yeah, this is a fun pick. They love their linebackers. So this is a nice spot for Chris Paul.
Really solid.
I would have loved to pick Chris Paul to the Commanders, though, because they already have a player named Chris Paul.
Oh, do they? The guard?
The Tulsa guard.
There we go.
7th-round pick a couple years ago. That would have been awesome. Chris Paul and Chris Paul Jr.
The second and third best Chris Pauls in professional sports.
Who's the first?
I think there was a baseball player back in the day.
Ah, that must be it.
Lefty pitcher.
Bam. Had a great floater.
Indeed.
That's a baseball term, right? We're not. Well, we're kind of baseball guys. All right, Chiefs on the clock at 63 before we make the last pick. They took Harmon in the first.
All right. Do I ignore offensive line again? Is my question.
I mean, you kind of have to. Who would you take? Ursery's not a great fit.
At all. No, he's like kind of the anti-Chiefs guy.
Yeah, they kind of need center, right?
Oh,
Who do
yeah.
you have?
Scrub. Kick Creed Humphrey out to left guard. Replace Kingsley Suamataia.
I would like Charles Grant here. I could see that.
That is a really good fit. And since they missed out on Connerly, that may very well be what they do. I want to get another guy in that running back room. I'm not the one to make a running back pick here. I'm sorry. I can't do that when there are players at higher value positions.
Ursery does have some similarities to Jawan Taylor as far as not great.
Do the Chiefs want more Jawan Taylor?
I'm just saying, if you need a guy to fill that role. But I mean,
the scapegoat?
Realistically, what
position scapegoat?
Ursery might end up becoming Jawan Taylor. There are worse things to be.
There are worse things to be.
He finds work every year. There's a reason.
He's an underrated tackle in that people treat him like he's, what's the term?
A useless piece of shit.
Yes, people treat him like that, and that is not in fact the
case. Would they go Trapillo?
I'd rather have Charles Grant in this spot, but I'm eyeing the defense. Have we just like bled the defense dry?
So probably. I'm curious to go back and see how many what's the offensive defensive split?
That will be interesting to see.
Could use it Watts. The Chiefs have a bunch of guys who can't tackle. Why not add another guy to that mix? Like, I mean,
that's how this usually works.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really like the Charles Grant fit.
All right, Charles Grant, love it. I like that we got him in the mock. I feel like he absolutely could go in the second round.
Certainly, I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't. Is my computer officially dead? Nope.
He's an athletic guy, and he's so intriguing because he looks relatively green on tape, but then you realize he's only been playing football at all for 5 years. He started playing in his junior year of high school.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he started playing his junior year of high school. And it's like, he's made that much progress in this short of time. So you watch the year before that, and he's made leaps and bounds. You get him in an NFL coaching room, in an NFL strength and conditioning room, put some muscle on him, he could be really freaking good at the next level. Obviously, there's the concern, massive jump in play, and an experienced, raw player, but there is a lot of potential there, and a guy that you just kind of believe is going to work out.
He is on the older end of the spectrum, I think.
Yeah,
he
23 or 24.
Just turned 23 not long ago. So, I mean, you don't hate that. Like, that's best case scenario for a fifth-year senior. Yeah, I like that fit a lot.
Yeah.
Now to round it out, right?
All right, to round it out, 64. Omar Norman Lott. No.
Got to get him in there somewhere.
I think that the Eagles would take Xavier Watts here. I think they would also take Darius Alexander. We took Demetrius Knight for them. Wide receiver makes some sense. Well, you got Dotson. That's a solid 3.
Yeah, I think they're content with that.
Yeah.
Especially when you got Dallas Goedert.
Yeah. So maybe add another body to the edge room, but who would it be?
You know what's really funny?
What?
This is actually totally like an Omar Norman lot spot.
This kind of is, yeah. But I wouldn't do it.
No.
This is what we would do.
Nor would I.
This is definitely what might happen. Oh, geez. He's kind of... They already have multiple of him, but the Eagles love to have multiple of the same player, Olufemi Oladejo.
Oh, I like that a lot because I was thinking David Walker, but like this is too early for David Walker. So Femi Oladejo.
Yeah.
There are similarities.
Do we... I'm thinking him or Watts. What do you think?
Who are their safeties?
You need some safe... Well, you need to do some depth because I think they're starting Sidney Brown, and he was off and on last year. Yeah, Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship. You liked Blankenship.
Yep,
as
definitely.
Your free safety, but Watts is more of a free safety kind of guy, so not really a guy you... But they run a lot of too high, so it doesn't matter either way.
That's what I was thinking is they run enough too high to make that valuable. Who's the next safety down the board? Because Winston's gone.
Watts, Makuba, Ransom, Mickens. Oh, Bowman's here.
Oh, I don't love Bowman in the second. I think that's only okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've got a true 3 on him, so it's technically a reach.
I think we got to get Xavier Watts.
Yeah, I'd love to fit Femi Oladejo in here, but let's go Watts to round out the mock. That is our final what we would do mock draft. PFF is so proud of us.
Ever!
Yeah, we're never
done.
coming back.
Fuck you!
This is a one-time thing. We're tired.
And we do love our many loyal listeners, though.
We do.
Not worthless pieces of shit.
Wow, that is kind of insane. 2 rounds, the culmination of all of our work over the last, year really, but especially 2-3 months in grinding tape and all of that. We will possibly be back early next week for predictive mock.
I think that we'll find a way.
I think that we should. I think it'd be fun. That will only be 1 round because we only have so much energy. We've been here for a long time.
3 hours and 13 or 14 minutes.
Well, the My Guys episode was 3 hours 17, so I don't think we're not going to beat that.
Let's go.
One.
And there's going to be a lot of dead air to cut out of this one as well.
That's fair. I don't know if I'm going to do it.
We'll see.
That's the thing. It takes a lot of time to go through a 3-hour mock and be actively listening the entire time.
That's very true, but that's what we expect all of our listeners to do.
Exactly. So,
although we can only hear ourselves talk so much.
I can if one of the loyal listeners wants to take out all the dead air, I'd be greatly appreciative. I'd be very appreciative.
How much airtime is there available of us just saying terrible stuff? Probably
a lot.
A 2-hour cut-up's worth now.
Oh yeah. when we eventually go on to be stock exchange level, there will be a lot of clips brought back.
Oh, fortunately, saying stupid shit doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. Oh, jeez. All right. I was going to say something. To be fair, though, the stock exchange has has so much dead air. It's insane.
It does have I haven't noticed it to have a ton.
The mock they did with Mark, the collab mock draft they did with Marcus.
Oh, I don't think I watched that full one.
Full. It was chock full. So if they can do it, we can do it.
Fair enough.
Equals.
We do have NFL SC level clout.
This is true. All right.
Is that going to do it?
I think
that's our 2-round mock.
2-round mock, all done. We'll see you next week for the predictive mock draft, that will be the last episode before the draft. It's 6 days away, and we still kind of have no idea what's going on. So the predictive mock's going to be fun.
It is going to be wild.
Feels like we know the least about teams' plans this year than any other year because it seems like teams don't even know what they're going to do with this weird of a class.
The draft starts at 3. And man, does it never look back. There's no respite. There's no Bo Nix to the Broncos. There's no J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings. There's nothing here to save you.
It seems like everybody kind of had the top 10 last year mapped out. It's okay, they're really 3 possible. There are 3 possible ways it could go, and then it went one of those ways. And there were all variations of each other, but there are a million different ways. Marion Hampton can make the top 10.
That would be bizarre,
you know what I mean?
But possible.
Bears could do it. They absolutely could. There could be 4 quarterbacks that go in the top 10.
Oh, don't even say that. It's possible, though.
Ward to the Titans. Sanders to the Cowboys. Sanders to we've been
Fuck
on
yeah!
we've been on air for 3 hours. Sanders to the Browns, Dart to the Giants, Milrow to the Saints. Just saying it's possible. It's not going to happen. I'm just saying there is if you did a confidence interval, you cannot be 99.9% chance that it will not happen.
I think I'd agree with that. I wouldn't go 99.9.
You could probably go 99, but
Oh, sir. Well, and I don't think the Browns are taking a quarterback, but could a team trade up if teams really start to get antsy near the top? Certainly.
Saints could trade up with them. Or the Giants could trade up, then the Saints go back with it. Like the Browns move back 7 spots and get like 3 first-round picks.
Tyler Shuck getting some first-round buzz?
He did actually get some first round from a
Yes.
yeah.
Like, he's garnering first-round buzz now.
know.
Not a lot, but it's out there, and it's insane.
Browns beat reporters are talking about them trading into the first round to get him, like trading from 33 to 32 so they can get the 5th year. Which makes sense if you're going to pick a quarterback.
He's going to be injured and 32 years old after his 5th year.
Oh, jeez. Well, if you're gonna pick a quarterback at 33, you should just call up whoever's at 32 and be like, come on, man, you can pick the same guy you were going to take.
Please?
Please, Howie. Please, Howie. Please don't. Please. We'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, what are we doing here? We're 3 hours and 15 minutes into this thing. As always, stay hard.